Hell yeah, what's up, Charles Manson? Hell yeah. Thanks for joining me. We got a special one today, folks. What's up, Skylar? What's happening? We're about to do something special tonight. We're going to enter into the Supreme Gentleman world. Elliot, Rodger, part 1. We're going to see half of a dire trip. This is a 3.5-hour series. What's up, Dugan? What's up, Devin? Yeah, I just wanted to, what's going on, Alex and Unlocked? What's up, Alex Fairman? Hell yeah. Get your Pringles today, yo. What's up, Eric? Espinoza? You should have your bro on the stream to help him with his career. I know. Tell him that, okay? Yeah, this is the future right here. Live streaming. All right, I'll let a few more enter, and I want to do a couple public service announcements. First off, yeah, we got enough people here, huh? Yeah. Do not eat these. What's up, Angie? Don't eat these on an empty stomach. I had to learn the hard way. These things really messed my stomach up, and I had the most painful shit ever. Yeah. The black butt, yeah. Don't worry about the black butt. It's around. Yeah, but really be careful with these. I don't know what kind of ingredients they have. I mean, this is like a bunch of stuff that I don't know what I'm ingesting. It's both. It's Steve and Kwangu, because Kwangu... So I just wanted to let y'all know that, yeah, stay away from these flaming hot lime Cheetos. And if you eat them, make sure you eat them with a full stomach, okay? I also want to... We're about to get into the Elliot Rodger series, guys. What's up, Skylar? Yeah, be careful of those flaming hot Cheetos. They will really... the toilet water, I don't know if I need to censor this, but I'm going to be honest with you. The toilet water was like a Bloody Mary. Very red, okay? So, oh, I want to give you guys an update about John Goblicon did stop by. So, so it was a success, everybody. He was the most friendliest goblin ever. He showed up on time. That's gonna, hey, dude, check this out. Hey, you notice something different too, guys? I bought a mic. So this is already, check this out. Isn't it a little bit more crispy? Angie, let me know. Is this, Angie, is this crispier or what? I have a mic. I went to Best Buy, and I had to put down the $55, y'all, to get this bad boy, okay? So, no, we're going to get into the reaction, all right? We're doing Elliot Rodger part 1 off of a dire trip, but I wanted to, okay, let me finish about John Goblicon. Really great goblin. Tune in next Wednesday to this channel, and dude, it was one of the funnest interviews yet on the STEEBEE'S show. So before we let's get a couple. What's up, Howie? Yeah, I think is it plugged in? Can you hear the mic? I mean, I could see right here on the OBS that it is picking up. Okay, what are you about to watch? Yeah, hey, Jonah, we're about to get into Dire Trip. I have it hooked up. It's a 3.5-hour series. We'll probably do half tonight. But, oh, Angie, you don't have to do that. Angie, you already gave enough. Angie, you don't have to, please. Shout out to Angie again. Duke. Okay, so I think those are all the announcements. Oh, I do have a Squeaky Clean Studios vlog that's out. Feel free. You know, it's up to you, okay? It's a historical studio, though. Queen, Stevie Wonder, War, they've all recorded there, okay? And so I thought it was a good look. And also, go look out for my boy Sam I Universe's album, Try, okay? Oh, thank you. Okay, let's get into it, guys. Okay, so we're about to... This is part 1, Elliot Rodger, the Supreme Gentleman. All right, we're gonna break things down. Before I start playing anything, let me flash the fair use to let y'all know we're gonna make it transformative. Okay, here we go. Let's go. We got some things to watch. Hold up. Here we go. Duke, not now. Hopefully y'all could hear that.
After a lifetime of exhibiting serious mental health issues,
You guys see it?
hatred, and anger, somewhere in the dark, seedy corners of the internet, he emerged as a figure that would come to be more controversial than he ever could have expected. As he transcended mere anonymity and became somewhat of an icon among his online peers, he would set in motion a chilling chain of imitative, horrific crimes.
Alright, I didn't mean to stop it so soon, but one of the first things I noticed, he was driving a BMW, y'all. And if you look at his face, I mean, he wasn't a bad looking guy, but he's gonna get into the whole incel thing and how he couldn't get girls and stuff and female attention. But sorry, that's the first thing I noticed is he had a BMW. He's riding a BMW.
This is his life story.
Because I like watching Dire Trip. This is like one of my favorite channels.
Yes,
Drip.
yes, I'm a shy, quiet guy, but I have good qualities to myself. I'm a gentleman. You know, I'm sophisticated. I'm polite, but girls never give me a chance because they're evil and cruel like that. And I will take great pleasure in denying you life. It's only fair.
Alright, so, sorry. Okay, so I didn't like that laugh. I didn't like that. And Duke didn't like the laugh either. I didn't like that laugh. What's up, Stinker? Shout out, much love, brother. Shout out, Stinker. This guy, just off of this 20 seconds, this guy was a lonely guy. All he wanted was female attention. But let me tell you something. I'll tell you this much. It's not his looks. Because I don't know how many ladies are in here. It's probably mostly men. But ladies, comment. Elliot was not a bad-looking guy. He was Euro-Asian. It was his communication skills. And we're going to get into it, okay, guys? Hell yeah. This is going to be fun. Thanks for joining me, y'all. This is going to be a whole series. We might even get to his manifesto.
We're delving into a really touchy and complex topic, especially when it comes to YouTube, the life and actions of Elliot Rodger. It's crucial to approach this topic by specifically mentioning that Elliot Rodger is not a person who should be admired. As you will come to see throughout the duration of this video, he is a very mentally ill and hateful individual with a troubled past. Rather than take responsibility for even one of his actions, he chose to blame everyone else around him, and that's what led to the...
Okay, so a comment said I thought Bob said he was Asian. He is. His mom was Asian, and his dad, white guy from I think England or something. So he was half. He was so he was partly correct. Yeah. So but he's half.
The events of today's case. Let me make it very clear that today's video is not to endorse or promote his actions in any way. Rather, I think it's important to look into these cases and find out what exactly went wrong. When it comes to crimes like these, the news media tends to blame one or two contributing factors, when the reality is much more complex.
Someone said, I'm secretly gay and I approve of this. Thanks for tuning in. You're in the right spot, okay? Because there's all kinds of different energies that are accepted on Stevie live streams. I appreciate that.
It's nuanced. To write this video, I dug through hundreds and hundreds of pages of manifestos, police reports, diaries, and interviews. Just to make it clear from the beginning, some of the pictures that I came across were pretty low resolution and had some text imposed under them, but I've decided to include them regardless because, well, they're interesting. I've also decided to...
I'm kind of gay for this Dire Trip guy. Look how handsome he is. I'm sorry. I'll let it play.
Blur the faces of some of the people in this video. If their pictures were already widely available online, if they're somewhat of a public figure, or if they've willingly spoke out about this case, I've gone ahead and left them in. But if they've tried to distance themselves from the case, or if their pictures seem to have been obtained through morally gray means, I've went ahead and blurred them out.
Angie.
With that said, let's get started.
Yes. Thanks for joining me, y'all. This is it. I've been wanting to do this. Thanks for being here.
Lee Chin was a Malaysian woman of Chinese descent born in 1961 in Penang, Malaysia. She moved out to England while she was still young and went on to work as a nurse.
So there you go. That's Elliot's mom, Lee Chin, Chinese descent. Okay, I hope that answers that part.
Eventually, she started working on film sets. This is where she would meet her future husband.
Someone asked, Steve, why do you like this incel stuff? You know why? Because I could identify with incels. I was once one. You know, like in I would say high school. So that's why it really speaks to me. I can kind of identify it, but through time, you got to learn. You got to learn some kind of game throughout time, and you got to learn. But now I realize it's insanity, and these guys just need to learn communication
Peter Rodger was
skills
born in
on top of other
1965
things.
in the United Kingdom. Peter was born into the prestigious Rodger family, a family that was once very wealthy before they eventually lost a lot of their money during the Great Depression. Peter's father, George, was a very talented photojournalist, widely known for the photographs he took during World War II. Peter had began working as a filmmaker and a photographer when he met Lee Chin. When he was 26 years old and she was 30, he ended up getting her pregnant, reportedly on accident. While they were dating, Lee Chin had gotten sick and believed that some medication she was taking negated the effects of her birth control. Either way, the couple decided to marry.
Another thing I noticed, how handsome was Elliot's father? I mean, that guy, he is a good-looking man. And I'm guessing they kind of came from money?
On July 24th, 1991, their son, Elliot Oliver Robertson Rodger, was finally born. When Elliot came into this world, Peter and Chin were living in a pretty nice house
Exactly,
up in
Penn.
London.
I see you.
But they decided to go for the quiet life and move out to the country. They moved into a large home out in Sussex County, all ready to live a life of peace. Elliot would go on to spend the first 5 years of his life in this carefree environment. Elliot was very happy at this time, watching his father transition into directing films while his mother became a stay-at-home mom. Chin's mom, who everyone called Ah-Ma, moved in with the family to help out. Elliot became very fond of Ah-Ma.
I mean... Okay, sorry. Look, another thing I noticed, look how cute Elliot was as a kid. I mean, look at that cutie. He was a cute, like, Mr. Cute Stuff, huh? Look at that smile.
And spent much of his time with her. Elliot was placed into an all-boys private school called Dorset House near his home. Elliot didn't really like this school and often cried, feeling the teachers were too strict. He fondly remembered one incident in which all of the students were forced to sit cross-legged, but he refused so adamantly that the teachers buckled and let him sit differently. Elliot's family would often have big parties for the holidays, a trend that would continue for the rest of his life. Elliot's grandfather, George, was very ill at the time, not going out much, but he grew very close to his grandmother, who he called Grandma Jinx. Elliot had blissful memories of learning to fly kites with his father, playing games with his friends, and traveling Europe with his family. However, soon Elliot would go on to experience tragedy for the first time in his short life. The family took a trip out to Greece. While they were there, Grandpa George passed away back home. It was at this point that Elliot first saw his father cry, and in turn first experienced pain and, more than that, a feeling of loneliness. Unable to enjoy the vacation, the family flew home. Peter Rodger wanted a new start and new opportunities.
His father could have been an actor. I know his father was more of a behind-the-scenes guy, producer, documentarian, filmmaker kind of guy, but I mean, look at how chiseled his father's features were, y'all. Handsome guy, huh? Here we go.
Shortly after Elliot turned 5 years old, Peter decided to move the family out to the United States.
Here we go.
He felt that, for a filmmaker, Los Angeles would be the place to be. After taking the family out to California for a short trip to scope it out, they all decided that they would love to live there. While preparing to go, Chen got pregnant once again, this time with a little girl, a girl that would go on to be Elliot's younger sister, Georgia. The family packed up their Sussex home and got ready to head out to America. Elliot went...
Now, I forgot that Elliot had an older sister, Georgia. I don't know if she podcasts, but don't y'all think that would be a good guest for the STEEBEE'S show? Get Elliot Rodger's sister, get her take on what it was like growing up with Elliot and that family, that household. Comment to see if you think that's a good idea. Georgia Rodgers.
To school for the last time, but he wasn't sad. He was ready to start his new life. And start a new life he did as the family flew out to Los Angeles, leaving England behind.
For the people who are late, we're doing a Elliot Rodger Part 1 analysis, watch along, reaction. He's an incel. who killed innocent people in the Santa Barbara area. And so this is a 3.5 hour thing, but I might cut it in half, and we'll do the next half next week. So just to get y'all caught up.
Elliot was too excited to even sleep on the plane. When the plane came to land, he was amazed at the scenery, in disbelief at what a beautiful place he would move into. Elliot hit his limit as a little kid and crashed in the car on the way to their new home out in Woodland Hills. Once they got to the home, the atmosphere was immediately sullied when Elliot found out that the room he liked best in the house would be going to his younger sister. Before she was even born, Elliot was already jealous of and angry at his little sister. Elliot excitedly told his parents that he wanted to be an American kidnapper.
Okay, this is not a how-to video. Whoever wrote that, all right? We're just digging in. This is more of an analysis. This is not, this is something not to learn. Yeah, you could learn not to be this guy.
He melted into the environment very quickly, consuming all manner of American media and quickly adapting to speaking in
Are we going to be graded on
He was
this?
ready for his new life and
No.
new identity. Elliot
But
started
it does feel kind of like
kindergarten
a
at school called
PowerPoint
Pinecrest,
classroom
but
thing.
things didn't go so well. His teacher was upset at how far behind the other kids Elliot would be after all the time he had missed while moving. The teacher kept him inside during recess to catch up on missed work, which his parents did not like. Eventually, they took him out of school and placed him into a school called simply Farm School. At his new school, Elliot made a new friend, Joey, but quickly grew to hate him. He later described him as a rotten little prick who he would always get into fights with, saying that he was his greatest enemy. He made good relationships as well, though, meeting his first true friend in America, a little girl named Maddie Humphreys. His very first friend in America was none other than a little girl. After playing with Maddie numerous times, her and Elliot's parents became friends as well. Maddie's parents were in the entertainment industry too, giving them a lot in common. The families had all sorts of parties and get-togethers where Elliot got to play with his new friend even more. They got close enough to even take baths together, which Elliot would later describe as the only time in his life that he would see a girl his age naked.
Alright, I don't know why I paused right there, but that just made me sad. It's like, if that's, I mean, because like he actually progresses on to elementary school, middle school, and high school, and it says that's the only time. That's just sad for me. To me, that's yeah.
Elliot would go on to graduate kindergarten as a happy, normal child, experiencing all
Open the
the
door for
essential
Duke.
things that the average kid would. This happy life, however, would not last. Once Elliot was 6 years old, he spent a lot of his spare time in the afternoons going to parks with his family, most notably the Serenia Park, which...
See, I could relate to that because when I was in high school, when I was doing the Bible studies and the Christian camps, I would go to a park by myself and with a loaf of bread, and I would feed the ducks. So I could kind of relate because he continues this throughout his upbringing, where it was his form of escapism, but I could identify with that because I used to drive to the park to read the Bible and to feed the ducks with I'd feed the ducks bread. So in a way, I could relate to that. Okay, hope you guys are having fun.
which was his favorite. But it was at these parks that Elliot began to experience a new emotion, that of envy. He was particularly jealous of the other boys who were able to use the swings by themselves, especially the ones who were younger than him. For the first time, Elliot felt physically inadequate, a feeling that would never subside. When Elliot went to Universal Studios with his family, he was very excited to ride the Jurassic Park ride. But when he finally got to the front of the line, an employee informed him that he was too short to ride. He was...
See that I'm sure every kid is that last story, the Jurassic Park ride. I'm sure every kid has experienced that. I mean, we were all short at one time, and you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you've seen that movie Big with Tom Hanks. I mean, that's in that movie where he was too short to ride the ride, and the girl he had a crush on, he looked kind of like silly, like, and he was embarrassed. But so I just wanted to, I don't know what compelled me to say that. I just think that that's like a normal thing that kids would probably go through growing up.
humiliated as the other boys his age hopped on and he had to stay behind. Elliot flew into hysterics, leading his mother to carry him away while comforting him. But Elliot continued to hang out with Maddie.
Wait, hold up. What did you say?
Friends, a group of all girls.
Someone said, wait, Steve, I remember seeing you at the park. Son of a gun.
At this stage in his life, he had no problem interacting with girls, even playing with them more often than boys. Then Elliot and his family would move out to Topanga. He was very sad to leave the area he had gotten used to, but he loved his new house on Valley View Drive. It was a 2-story house, complete with a big pool and a deck with a great view of the mountains.
Just to let y'all know, I've been out there. I think I was doing some vlogging up at Topanga Canyon. That's rich people land. That's like up kind of towards the hills, way out in the back. Like, that's a very like pretty peaceful, rich area. I just want to let y'all know, because me and Off the Grid Ryan, we're vlogging over there now. We noticed that, so it's not like he kind of grew up privileged, to be honest with you.
He entered into Topanga Elementary School, experiencing some of the best years of his childhood. He met who would go on to be 2 of his best friends for the rest of his life. 2 boys named Philip and James.
PTSD
They would get together
take
to
it
play
easy,
sports,
man.
war games, and simply hang out. With James living nearby, Elliot was able to go to his house anytime he wanted. Peter's career as a director was taking off as well. He was leaving home fairly often to go work on commercials for all sorts of different companies. As he was gone so often, he hired a nanny to help Chin out. Elliot, although he missed his father, respected him as a rich and powerful man. Once Christmas came along, Elliot got a gift that would change his life, a Nintendo 64. At this point, he'd barely even seen a video game in his life. His father sat down and played both Turok and Star Wars Shadows of the Empire with him, sparking a lifelong fascination for video games and giving him another opportunity to bond with his father. Unfortunately, Elliot's home life was going downhill, by no fault of his own. His father and mother were getting into more and more arguments. Elliot had heard of divorce before, knowing that parents actually could split up, and that was something that terrified him. He sat on the deck and looked out into the distance with his mom, opening up to her and asking her if they would ever divorce. She told him not to worry, that it would never happen. Elliot...
I mean, I just by the looks of it, I mean, his mom was a pretty lady as well. I mean, so he had some good genes going on, wouldn't you say? I mean, yeah, she was a pretty lady. Respect.
Elliot sighed a sigh of relief. His 7th birthday came along, a memory that he would cherish forever. It was the last time he would ever remember his parents being happy together, as very shortly after his birthday, he would hear some of the worst news of his life. His mother told him that, despite what she had previously said, she and his father were indeed getting a divorce.
Hold up, yeah, they're getting a divorce. But I just want to let y'all know, see this picture, you see her like she looks kind of like stressed out. This is the picture they captured when the news broke. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but when she found out that Elliot did something bad near the campus of Santa Barbara. So that's why she looks that way, because it's horrible. It's probably the worst day of her life that they captured, because she's like, my son did what, you know? So I just want to let y'all know, just to, as far as context, okay?
Divorce. Elliot immediately felt a burning sense of betrayal. It was decided that Elliot and Georgia would mainly live with Chin and see Peter on the weekends. Peter was to pay child support as well. From then on, Elliot grew up in 2 different houses with 2 different families. It was time to start his life over once again. After the split, Elliot became much more close with his mother, Chin. He felt that she was very loving and kind, and turned the home environment into a place where he could actually be happy. Peter, however, started going through financial trouble, forcing him to downsize into a much smaller home.
Oh yeah, so let's watch.
Elliot would go on to meet one of the most central figures in his life. When going to visit his father, he came home to see a tall woman with long black hair standing in the kitchen. This woman was an actress from Morocco named Sumaya. Elliot was told that she would be his new...
Yeah, so Sumaya is, just to give it more context, Sumaya is partly was a problem for Elliot because of the family division, because that's his dad ended up marrying her, and then, you know, the mom was in a different house. Just to let y'all know, because
new stepmother, and that she would be living with them from then on out. Elliot wrote,
My father having a girlfriend so shortly after divorcing my mother didn't even occur to me. I couldn't understand it. Soon enough, though, I realized that Sumaya was, in fact, his girlfriend, and they were together just like how my father and mother were together. Father finding a new girlfriend in such a short amount of time baffled me. I was completely taken aback.
Despite his shock, Elliot developed even more respect for his father, seeing him as a man that women desired. A man that could bounce back and find a new, beautiful woman almost instantly.
See, I find that kind of weird that, like, even that early on, that would enter his mind, like, oh, like, my dad could get another woman other than my mom. Like, why would you even think these things? I don't know how old he was. He was probably, like, in elementary school, probably younger. Like, why would you even, like, think these things at such a young age? I find that kind of odd. I don't know.
Around this time, Elliot's parents first began to notice that his behavior was somewhat
Steve's a
strange.
Chad cell.
He had difficulty making eye contact while speaking and rarely spoke up for himself unless he was asked a question directly. When he spoke, it was usually in no more than a whisper. Something they found even more concerning was Elliot's preference to write notes to them on pieces of paper rather than speak to them. He tended to gaze off into the distance, sitting in the same spot every single day. He would make noises, tap his feet, and repeat the same words over and over.
See, right there, like, see, that's, as a parent, if my kid wouldn't talk to me face to face and would write on pieces of paper things to hand me, that's problematic. I'd be like, dude, I'm trying to talk to you. Can we have a conversation? So, look, I'm not a parent. I'm just saying, I would have noticed it back then when Elliot started doing that stuff. That kind of weird behavior.
Often saying great, great, great in particular. For these issues, Elliot was taken to various
Okay, I'm sorry,
therapists.
Cindy.
He wasn't diagnosed at this time, but professionals
Cindy,
believe
I
that he was
just
showing
need to
signs
stop
of either
it.
high-functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome.
Cindy Riviera, I just have to stop it, like, a lot because of copyright reasons and to make it more transformative. And so I apologize. I'll let more play, okay? I apologize.
From this point onward, Elliot would experience very inconsistent mental health care for the rest of his life. Elliot gradually started getting used to Sumaya being his new stepmother. He learned that she was from the Akabun family, a prestigious family from Morocco. In the beginning, they got along very well and had a lot of fun together. This was until she started to discipline him. He felt that, as she wasn't his real parent, she had no right to do so. Tension came to develop between them, a tension that would never subside. Elliot's mother, Chin, became good friends with George Lucas. As a result, Elliot was invited to attend the premiere of Star Wars Episode 1. He loved the original movies and was overjoyed to be able to attend. He even got to meet some of the actors, including Jake Lloyd, the young actor who played Anakin Skywalker, a character that he greatly admired. Elliot started to see Maddie less and less, only on the occasion that their families would have a get-together. Maddie's parents got divorced as well, with her father moving back to England. Regardless, Elliot still had a lot of fun playing video games, meeting friends.
I have to stop it again because I mean I would because now I'm like in my head about like stopping and letting it play. But dude, his mom having a George Lucas Star Wars connection, y'all, that's pretty privileged in itself. Like, I don't think many people could say, like, hey, my mom is, like, talking to George Lucas, and then we were getting these tickets to these Star Wars premieres or video games. I mean, that's kind of a different... He had all the connections. That's all I gotta say. So, yeah.
Going to school, seeing movies, and just being a regular kid. During the holiday season, when Elliot was in 3rd grade, he heard from his father that they were going to visit Sumaya's home.
Shout out George Lucas. There you go.
They all flew out and met her family. Elliot felt that, of all the places he had been, Morocco was fairly strange. It felt more foreign to him than even Malaysia. He described the place as backwards, although admitting that he found the culture interesting and the people friendly. Sumaya's mother, Khadija, had a smaller, more modest home, while her father, Abdesalim, had a huge house that Elliot felt was like a castle. Apparently that home was even used in a James Bond film. Elliot found this very cool. All in all, it was a nice trip, and Elliot came back to America completely content, blissfully unaware that his later trips to the country would not be near as pleasant. By the time summer came around, Peter's commercial directing career had recovered. Actually, it had blown up even more than ever before. He was at the peak of his success. As a result, he moved the family into a much bigger, nicer home. They settled down in a wealthy area of West Hills. In the end, though, Elliot still preferred his mother's house. Despite the modest size of the home, he felt the environment to be much more pleasant. Still, though, he had his 9th birthday party at his father's house. Sumaya planned and hosted the party herself, turning the occasion into a huge celebration, even inviting all of his friends and hiring a magician for the occasion. When summer ended, Elliot entered the 4th grade. Even though he was still very young, his feelings of inadequacy around girls were already starting to develop. He discovered that he was indeed fairly short for his age, being the shortest kid in his class, even shorter than all the girls. He tried to play sports with the other boys, but quickly noticed that they were all much more talented than him. He felt short, weak, and pathetic.
I mean, join the club, pal. I think a lot of kids that age would feel short and pathetic. You know, it's like, I don't know why. I think he was thinking about the wrong stuff. He should have just grown up being a kid. Like, just be a kid. Like, run around, get on the swing set, like, run around on the soccer field. It's like, I don't know why he's thinking these things. Sorry, y'all. No, the cards were not stacked against him. He had a life of privilege.
Li Chin was a Malaysian woman of Chinese descent born in 1961 in Penang, Malaysia. She moved out to England while she was still young and went on to work as a nurse. Eventually, she started working on film sets. This is where she would meet her future husband. Peter Rodger was born in 1965 in the United Kingdom. Peter was born into the prestigious Rodger family, a family that was once very wealthy before they eventually lost a lot of their money during the Great Depression. Peter's father, George, was a very talented photojournalist, widely known for the photographs he took during World War II. Peter had began working as a filmmaker and a photographer when he met Li Chin. When he was 26 years old and she was 30, he ended up getting her pregnant, reportedly on accident. While they were dating, Li Chin had gotten sick and believed that some medication she was taking negated the effects of her birth control. Either way, the couple decided to marry. On July 24th, 1991, their son, Elliot Oliver Robertson Rodger, was finally born. When Elliot came into this world, Peter and Chin were living in a pretty nice house up in London. But they decided to go for the quiet life and move out to the country. They moved into a large home out in Sussex County, all ready to live a life of peace.
Not only a life of peace, a life of privilege, y'all. I mean, I haven't even been to London or even the UK. I mean, Elliot's already, at this point, he's been to Morocco, London. Come on.
Elliot would go on to spend the first 5 years of his life in this carefree environment. Elliot was very happy at this time, watching his father transition into directing films while his mother became a stay-at-home mom. Chin's mom, who everyone called Ah-Ma, moved in with the family to help out. Elliot became very fond of Ah-Ma and spent much of his time with her. Elliot was placed into an all-boys private school called Dorset House near his home. Elliot didn't really like this school and often cried, feeling the teachers were too strict. He fondly remembered one incident in which all of the students were forced to sit cross-legged, but he refused so adamantly that the teachers buckled and let him sit differently. Elliot's family would often have big parties for the holidays, a trend that would continue for the rest of his life. Elliot's grandfather, George, was very ill at the time, not going out much, but he grew very close to his grandmother.
Did it rewind?
Grandma Jinx. Elliot had blissful
We're
memories of
rewatching.
learning
Sorry,
to fly
guys.
kites.
Sorry, let me fast forward right here.
Dad's house. At his mom's place, he could do virtually anything he wanted while being
Sorry,
pampered and
guys. Thanks for
catered
letting
to.
me know.
His mom often invited his friends over, knowing that he was too timid to do it himself. She let him have all the fun he wanted. Elliot's feelings of inferiority intensified as his elementary school years came to an end. He started to realize that
we're
cliques
18
were
minutes in
developing
now.
at school. Now there were cool kids and
Is that
uncool
fine?
kids. Elliot admired the cool kids, but soon came to a shocking realization. He wasn't
sorry.
one of them. His self-esteem plummeted more than ever. Around this time, he started to become conscious of something that he had never really noticed before, his race. Although Elliot was half white and half Asian, it wasn't really something that he understood. Now, though, he was starting to feel that, just maybe, this was what was making him different from the other kids. Elliot became more and more fascinated with white girls, exclusively blonde white girls. This fascination led to an inferiority complex, with Elliot desiring to make himself blonde as well. He felt that blonde people were truly beautiful, begging his parents to let him dye his hair. It was in fashion at the time, and they saw no problem with it, letting him do it. Then, to further...
You know what's crazy is, I didn't realize that, but he liked the blondies, okay? He dyed his hair, and I think this is when he gets into skateboarding. Interesting.
fit in, Elliot bought a skateboard and started dressing like the other kids. This was the start of a lifelong obsession.
Okay, I'll hit the
copy
space
everything
bar.
the
I'm still
supposed
new to this,
cool
guys.
kids
It's my
was
second
doing.
OBS stream.
Elliot started skating together with his friends.
There you go. He should have stuck with that.
But much to his dismay, the other kids didn't really care.
Whoa, that was a good trick.
None of them reacted to Elliot's newfound style. This was a pattern with Elliot. He felt that, by changing superficial aspects of his outward appearance, people would flock to him. He became disappointed and angry when they didn't.
I'm just saying, I'm pressing the space bar now, guys. He should have stuck with the skateboarding. If he would have just stuck skateboarding, I don't think any of this stuff would have... I think he would have met his crew. I'm just saying.
He was missing one key ingredient to socializing, putting himself out there, talking, and trying to meet people. He wanted the social life to come to him. He never did go on to get along with the cool kids. Just the opposite, in fact. He began to see them as competitors, as enemies. He mainly stuck around with Philip and one of his friends, a boy named Editon. Tension grew more at his father's home. Peter got more and more busy, as did Sumaya, and both had less time for Elliot.
Okay, someone wrote, one fat chick could have prevented all this. Very funny comment, but let's be fair towards Elliot. And I'm trying to finish this shit without...
One day during winter break, when he really
Laughing.
could use some attention, neither of them were to be found. After a while, they came back with a new puppy, for Georgia. This was something that made Elliot very jealous of her once again. Sumaya really wanted Elliot to socialize. She was getting more and more worried about his increasingly poor social skills. She tried to get him to make friends with a group of kids who lived down the street. One day, she put him outside and told him that she wouldn't let him back in until he at least talked to them. Elliot pretended to play with them by hanging out near them. Sumaya, to his surprise, didn't fall for it. She came outside and confronted him, forcing him to talk to them, something that made him feel humiliated and enraged.
See, I don't agree with that. I mean, like, he was already self-conscious as far as, like, his peers and friends. It's like, I'll give you an example. Like, my mom, before I got into middle school, because my brother was already in that school, like, she made me go onto campus and, like, look for him, and I was so scared because they were, like, older, cooler kids, and so it was kind of traumatizing for me. So I'm not saying Sumaya was I don't know much about Sumaya, but there are probably different ways on getting him to be more social amongst his peers, that's all. Because I still remember that, you know, I'm like, I don't want to go. She's like, no, Kwang, go now. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And then maybe it was good because it kind of forced me to get out of my shell, but I still remember that.
Elliot was further humiliated upon seeing some 8-year-old boys at the skate park who could skate much better than him, despite being several years younger.
No, this is on...
He felt like he was an absolute failure at everything
No,
he
this
tried.
is the best I could do right now.
This caused him to give up on his dreams of being a talented skateboarder. Elliot was now almost ready to start middle school. Through watching teen programs on TV, he felt he got the gist of what it was going to be like to be a teenager. This was something he wasn't ready for at all. Writing.
There was talk of girls, and how it would soon be cool to be popular with the girls. Girls were like completely foreign creatures to me. I heard stories of how boys are expected to start kissing girls in middle school. Such things overwhelmed me. I tried to dismiss it as much as I could and enjoy my life in the present moment.
I'm sorry, I'm trying. Is that better? Is that better? Again, another thing I'm noticing is he's too, like, self-aware of girls. I mean, this is just, you're just in middle school, bro. Like, get into sports and, like, all that stuff will, like, organically happen, like the school dances and all that stuff. I don't know. I think he was just overly self-conscious about, like, that type of thing with the girls.
On his first day of
that
middle
better?
school, Elliot came up to the building shaking, both out of excitement and out of fear.
Okay.
As he got older, he only cared more and more what people thought of him.
I'm sorry,
He
this
still
is the
hated
best
the
I can
cool
do right now.
kids, but another side of him really wanted their respect. So he did his best to hide his
Sorry.
hatred and appear chill to them.
Is that
He
better?
couldn't believe that, even from the beginning, girls were flocking more to the boys he considered to be obnoxious. The sense he got from TV turned out to be right. Now, being popular with girls was the way you became cool.
Or I don't know what to do.
To his relief, the girls around him treated him kindly in the beginning. He noticed that girls would often give the boys a light hug as a greeting, and he was delighted to get a few of those hugs himself. He even attended a school dance where a group of older girls offered to teach him how to slow dance. He was terrified, but he really felt euphoric in the moment. It was the only time where he would share this sort of experience with a girl. Back home, tension was worsening between Peter and Chin. Peter was able to cut down on his child support payments, forcing Chin to have to move into a smaller house out in Glade Avenue in Canoga Park. Elliot felt that this area was lower
right here?
class, something he found very demeaning.
Alright, I just
Once Elliot
can't see
turned
the
11
chat now.
years old, he began to use the internet more regularly. The internet was still fairly new at the
Okay.
time, but Elliot soon found out how to use it well. As he became more immersed, the internet became an escape from his real life. He could both avoid his troubling home life and forget about his humiliating school life by zoning out into the World Wide Web.
I mean, it's not like he didn't have opportunities. I mean, look at this. He's on a boat on a lake with his dad. I mean, I don't think a lot of kids could say they have the chance to do that. It's like his dad was killing it with commercials and movies. His mom was killing it being on set with George Lucas. So it's like, I think this is more of, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Elliot started attending chat rooms, finding it easier to communicate with other people over text. One person that he talked with regularly sent him some pictures.
Yeah, I
Once
can't.
Elliot opened them, he was shocked.
I can't see the chat.
There were photos of naked women. For the first time, he saw a beautiful woman in that state. He was overwhelmed by the emotions he felt. It was at this time he felt his childhood melt away from him, being replaced by a traumatizing, conflicting slew of complicated emotions. He stopped talking to that friend completely and shut down his computer. Sumaya, once again wanting Elliot to socialize more, put him into a summer camp. It was at this camp where, for the first time, he would have a negative interaction with a girl. While walking around, he accidentally bumped into a pretty girl his age. She flew into a fit of anger, called him some names, and pushed him down.
Exactly.
He didn't even know who she was. Everyone saw, and Elliot was left embarrassed in front of everyone. On this issue, Elliot wrote,
Cruel treatment from women is 10 times worse than from men. It made me feel like an insignificant, unworthy little mouse. I felt so small and vulnerable. I couldn't believe that this girl was so horrible to me, and I thought that it was because she viewed me as a loser. That was the first experience of female cruelty I endured, and it traumatized me to no end. It made me even more nervous around girls, and I would be extremely weary and cautious of them from that point on.
I mean, that happens to a lot of kids. Sorry for pausing it again, but I remember an incident where I think it was in 5th or 6th grade. I don't really remember what grade, but it was around that time where I asked this girl to a dance, and she blurted it out in front of all the kids, like, should I go with Steve or Lucas? And everyone said Lucas's name, and I still remember that. And so this is like a common thing amongst kids. I have other stories too, but yeah, it just seems normal to me.
Elliot became friends with a boy named John Joe that he would go on to play a lot of video games with. John Joe told him for the first time about internet cafes and wanted to take him to one called Planet Cyber, saying it had all the best PC games. They walked there together, and Elliot enjoyed online gaming for the first time. He couldn't believe that he was playing with people all over the world.
His reaction to embarrassment is a big part of his frustration. Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Elliot became very obsessed with online gaming. He would often stay at Planet Cyber until 3 a.m., despite only being in middle school. He went back and forth between playing Halo at home and playing online at Planet Cyber. Above all, Elliot loved Warcraft 3. He himself admitted to thinking about it every second of the day, playing it as late into the night as he could. Little did he know, World of Warcraft was right around the corner. Amma flew out to visit Chin, and the whole family had a party. Elliot, surprisingly, had an amazing time. Both James and Maddie came over, this time with Maddie hanging out with him until late in the night. However, it was the last time they would ever play together as friends. While feeling down, he was told some news that would bring him right back to a sense of happiness. Sumaya asked he and Georgia to come into the dining room with her. She sat them down and told them the news. She was pregnant with their sibling. Everyone was as happy as they could be. Elliot had wondered if Sumaya and Peter would ever have a baby, and
I don't know what's going
surprisingly,
on.
he loved the idea. This elation
Yeah,
wouldn't stick around.
I'm gonna minimize it
Elliot's
for
mood
this stream,
overall
guys. I'll
continued
fix
to
it
darken.
next stream, guys.
While he used to love going to the movies, he started to hate it. Ever since he became interested in girls, he began to see that the movies were one of the most popular dating spots. Not getting any...
I have another story. Yeah, I don't know why this popped into my head. I told my friend Danny Kim this the other day, but I remember I went to a swimming pool party, and we were all changing, and a couple of the kids had hair on their balls, and I just remember being so self-conscious and jealous because I'm like... And I still remember this because I was like confused, like how come I don't have hair on my balls? And it's so I don't know why I said that story, but I still remember that. Like, I don't want to say the kid's name, but I just remember being self-conscious and aware of like my sexuality or whatever.
Dates himself, he was very jealous. He simply couldn't enjoy them anymore. Even at home, things got more complicated as Elliot now would spend 1 week at his mom's place and then 1 week at his dad's, alternating from then on out. As middle school went on...
Well, no, maybe I worded it wrong. I'm just saying I was aware of just puberty and all that. Like, because I thought that there was something wrong with me because there's a couple kids that already had hair on their balls. And I realized because I was like, we're all changing in the same room. And I realized, oh my God, like, and I looked down at me and I'm like, I don't have any hair on my balls.
And Elliot only got more depressed. His complicated feelings grew more and more intense each year. He didn't want to grow up at all. He wanted to go back to the feeling he was comfortable with, but he had to accept that this time had come to an end. This would be the new status quo. He felt the need to escape. He begged his father to let him install Warcraft 3 on his laptop. He did so and played on that laptop every chance he got. Now he didn't even have to go to the net cafe to play.
Someone said, can we donate ball hair to Steve? Absolutely not. And Daniel, I saw your comment. I do have pubic hair, okay, brother? I just want to get that out there.
Play anymore. He was doing it from home. Although this only bred more conflicts with Sumaya as she felt it necessary to limit Elliot's game time. Elliot's friends started to hang out with him less. He started walking to the net cafe on his own, just to relive some of the memories and pretend everything was normal. Sometimes he stared for hours on end by himself. One night, by himself, he saw a teenager looking at porn on the computer.
Here we
next to
go.
him. For the first time, he saw what sex looked like. He didn't even know the very basics about intercourse at the time, so seeing that video all at once shocked him. Elliot said that he was scared, traumatized, and aroused all at once. He walked home and cried himself to sleep.
See, I find that weird. I mean, I don't know the first time we all seen that on the internet, but I don't know why you would cry if you were to watch something like that. I think that's like a weird response. That's just my opinion. I don't know why he would cry.
Elliot felt that this was the beginning of his downfall. From then on, sex was all he could think about every moment of every day. He wanted it more than anything. But given his age, it wasn't likely to happen anytime soon. After a while, it came time for World of Warcraft to release. Elliot begged his dad to buy it for him as a Christmas present. The two sat down and made his account together. Elliot's first experience with the game was mind-blowing. It was an experience unlike any other he had ever had.
And that's another thing. That's a weird place in life. Like World of Warcraft, and you just saw porn for the first time. It's like... So his mind must have been just playing all kinds of games with him, like, oh, I want to watch this, but I want to play this. I don't know. That's a pretty tough spot to be in. So I feel for him.
He felt that he was living a new life within this game, a life much better than the one he had. but unfortunately, he no longer had any friends to play with. Elliot's social life was more or less over. He became very lonely, with his only interaction with other people being over Warcraft. This, combined with puberty, left him in a very bad place in his life. He stopped caring about anything, putting all of his focus and energy purely into his Warcraft character. But soon enough, a big day came for Elliot, a day that would force him to get out of the house. This was the release of Star Wars Episode 3. He was able to brag to everyone at school that he was going to the premiere because his mother was friends with George Lucas. The problem is, most kids by now were starting to see Star Wars in a nerdier light. This bragging had the opposite effect he wanted, and he started to realize that he couldn't simply rely on status to make friends. By the time middle school came to a close,
Again, not everyone could say, like, to get, like, tickets to, like, a red carpet to see Star Wars. So, again, all I could think of is maybe a little bit of privilege there.
Elliot was miserable. He was unpopular, called the weird kid, and widely disliked among his peers. To get more attention, he actually leaned into the weird kid role, acting weird on purpose to get a reaction. The feeling he got from this was both good and bad. He liked the attention, but he hated the demeaning ridicule that would come from it. Elliot had a big crush on a girl named Monette in his class. However, despite this crush, Elliot himself would describe her as an evil bitch. He said that she would tease him, but it's unknown if this is true. As Elliot wouldn't interact with girls of his own volition, it's more than likely she simply ignored him, which he took as offensive. Elliot came to graduate middle school, but he didn't feel proud. He didn't feel like he really accomplished anything. He hated his time as a middle schooler. He felt that he simply existed until it was time to leave. He had been putting so much of his mind power into Warcraft that he didn't even put much thought into the fact that he was going to high school soon. It wasn't long.
See, if I were his parents, there needs to be a balance. You can't just let your kid play World of Warcraft like 24 hours a day, you know? I'm just saying, hypothetically, if I were a parent, I'd be like, dude, go hit the skate park. Go to the store, pick us up this, or like, get the kid to do something, to be more, interactive with life.
Long before the reality of this came to hit him. He wondered what it would be like, but he couldn't imagine it would be positive. He didn't want to have to deal with girls anymore. He didn't even want to think about them. He begged his parents to let him apply to Crespit Carmelite High School, a Catholic boys' school in the area. Peter took him there for a tour, and it seemed like an okay school. Elliot liked that it was seen as prestigious, a high-class school. Best of all, he wouldn't be teased by any girls. There weren't any. They turned in an application, and it wasn't long before Elliot got an acceptance letter. Summer break started. Only a week in, Elliot was told that his family would be going to Morocco once again. Upon being told that the trip would be 8 weeks long, Elliot panicked. He threw a complete crying tantrum. He didn't like Morocco in the first place, but worst of all, he wasn't going to be able to play Warcraft for 2 whole months. That was
Couldn't you, take Warcraft, can't you play World of Warcraft on a laptop? He could have still went to Morocco, had a good time, and played World of Warcraft, and another thing I found kind of weird is, dude, wouldn't you want to go to a different country, on a vacation? That's, a weird kind of response, in my opinion.
Eventually, his entire summer plan down the drain. His complaints didn't matter, though. The plans were already made, and the trip was happening. The news only got worse. Due to work, Peter would be unable to attend the first several weeks of the trip, being forced to meet up later. It would only be Sumaya taking Elliot and the kids on the trip. Elliot had enough problems with Sumaya at this point that he didn't want to be alone with her. On top of that, his new baby brother, Jazz, would be coming along too. The added stress of watching over a baby felt overwhelming, as he worried Sumaya would be in a worse mood than usual. Elliot hated the trip, but he tried to have some fun while he could. At this point in his life, Elliot was capable of trying to make the best of a bad situation. He hung out with a boy a bit younger than him in Sumaya's family, Eamon. The two would explore the city together, having fun wherever they could. Georgia came along with them, and Elliot was even able to have some fun with her despite their differences. During the trip, Elliot celebrated turning 14. Sumaya hosted a party for him at her father's house. Most of the people there were her friends, and a lot of them didn't even know what the party was for.
Again, another thing that stands out is, why did Elliot feel weird being alone with Sumaya? I find that kind of weird, too. Maybe that's kind of weird, it's your stepmom, man.
Elliot found this annoying, but he still enjoyed the cake and the happy birthday wishes. At the end of the trip, he decided to spend the night with Eamon. This is when Eamon showed him some European porn videos that he had downloaded. This time it wasn't just a glance at a nearby computer. Elliot was seeing the act in full view. He didn't want to look, but he couldn't help it. He found it revolting, but at the same time he was enthralled. He first noticed the effects of arousal on the male body and wanted to try it for himself. By the end of the trip, Elliot was depressed and homesick. All he wanted was to play some more World of Warcraft, but he had to accept that he'd be starting high school shortly after arriving home.
That's another thing, is like he was already, maybe like, if I were his parents, like, can you take him to a specialist? Like, my son's depressed, all he does is play World of Warcraft, and he just discovered pornography on his own. Can you help out? I don't know, maybe, who knows? Because I would look forward to going to high school. I mean, back then I'm like, yes, now it's time to enter the big leagues. Although I had to wrestle, like, and go to and train, but like I was excited for high school. Okay, babe.
Elliot was very relieved to come back to the United States. All he could think about was booting up Warcraft once again. Once he got home to his mom's house, he gave her a giant hug and then immediately broke free and ran to his computer. He logged on, said hi to everyone, and went right back to the status quo. But Elliot was going to have to start high school now. In fact, high school had already started while he was overseas. Not only did he have to start school, he was going to stand out as the new kid once again. He pulled up to the school with his father. Upon seeing how tall the other boys were, he began to cry in the car, telling Peter that he was too afraid to get out.
See, that, I find that kind of odd. Like, I understand if you're in elementary school or middle school, but why would you cry to your father in high school? You're in high school now, just because you saw a couple other students that were taller than you? Come on, man.
In his very first week of school, Elliot was already being bullied. Some seniors immediately began to target him for his youthful appearance. They taunted him, shoved him, and threw food at him during lunch. Elliot wanted to do something about it, but he was too scared to act. In only a few weeks, Elliot had already lost his desire to attend Crespi. He went right back to burying himself in World of Warcraft. As a birthday present, his father even gave him a new laptop of his own. Now he could play it wherever he wanted.
See, I disagree with that. See, that's another mistake the parents made right there. It's like, if your kid's too on to that World of Warcraft and you're enabling this kind of behavior, like, I understand kids love playing video games. I'm going to probably play some Warzone later myself. But you need a balance, okay?
Sumaya, though, was not happy with this. She was very concerned with how much time he was spending on the game and wanted to limit his activity. But given that Elliot's room was on a different floor, he was able to sneak in playtime whenever he wanted. Sumaya later wrote to Elliot, "Every time that when you got a bit older and you were addicted to the games and I tried to monitor you because I said that you would end up isolated with no friends and no social skills, which is the case now, you said that your mother allowed it and that I wasn't your mother and had nothing to do with you." Elliot wrote,
Wait, hold up, let's let it ride.
his own writings.
I hated being at Father's house because Sumaya became more and more suspicious of how much time I spent playing WoW, and she would place limits on my playtime whenever she caught me playing it. I wasn't able to do my 5-hour-long events to collect rare armor pieces for my character while I was at Father's house.
See, that's the thing. That's another thing. I think Samaya is a big piece of this puzzle. You can't knock Samaya for, like, you know, putting some order within his life as far as, like, you know, capping the time spent on World of Warcraft. And that's why probably Elliot, like, grew more resentful towards her. So I can't knock Samaya for being like that. But the thing is, with Elliot's mom was the opposite. She would let him just do whatever he wanted. So I think I'm kind of like siding with Samaya here when it has to do with this topic, with his video game playing.
Sumaya and Peter started to worry that Elliot was going to be a bad influence to his younger brother Jazz. There's no doubt that Elliot was pushing his hateful ideologies mainly towards women onto his brother as much as he could. Sumaya stated to Elliot, "I don't trust you around Jazz because he told me that you told him that girls are bad and that he should hate them and hit them if they tried to come near." While having these problems at home, Elliot's time at Crespi only got worse. Some kids he knew from his old school had already told the students there about how weird he was, denying him the fresh start he wanted. They ridiculed him for being afraid to talk to
Stevie
girls,
Wisdom.
calling him all manner of
Stevie
homophobic
Wisdom.
slurs. People began stealing his belongings in order to force him to try and fight, only to laugh at how small and weak he was. Elliot was defeated.
And this is another thing that kind of stands out. If you're in high school and you see a kid getting bullied, you need to do something. I mean, you could step in and say something. You don't have to allow this behavior to happen. Because look what ended up happening to Elliot, man. One kid could have made a difference in Elliot's life. Like when he was getting bullied and they're sticking his head in the locker, whatever it may be. You know, you should have stuck up for Elliot.
He began hiding in quiet corners of the school to avoid people, even taking the long route while walking around the school just to avoid being spotted. At this point, his parents became very concerned. Winter break came along. This was when Elliot had an awakening. He discovered how to touch himself. It became an addiction. With this addiction came an addiction to looking at women on the internet. Surprisingly, Elliot didn't even know how to find porn. He was still very naive. Instead, he would browse normal websites until he found pictures of cute girls.
I mean, I'm kind of dating myself, and this is perfectly normal, right? I mean, he's in high school. I mean, I was probably masturbating a little younger than that, you know? But, yeah, but back then, you see, I didn't grow up with the internet. I had actual, like, magazines underneath my mattress, and my mom would find it, and she would see, you know, like that Key and Peele thing with the crunchy socks. Like, that was real for me. Like, I had crunchy socks, too, you know?
Elliot wrote,
I developed a very high sex drive, and it would always remain like this. This was the start of hell for me. Going through puberty utterly doomed my existence. It condemned me to live a life of suffering and unfulfilled desires. Even at that young age, I felt depressed because I wanted sex, yet I felt unworthy of it, and so my starvation began.
The boys at school only made matters worse, talking about sex constantly. Some of them even told Elliot that they were already sexually active themselves, bragging to him about their conquests. Elliot was dumbfounded at being told this. He didn't know whether or not he should even believe it. After all of the bullying and the bragging, Elliot felt small, weak, and worthless. He began to cry at school every single day. He completely withdrew into online games, feeling that they were the only thing he had to live for.
Look, I have I'm empathizing a little bit, but dude, I got 0 in high school too, bro. And like, I knew all my homeboys were getting some. And like, I even asked my friend Sean, I'm like, how are you doing this? And he's like, dude, dog, you have to try. The only time I would try is like, I'd invite him to like church camp or Bible study. But so I kind of empathize, but I kind of don't, because that's a lot of kids' experiences in high school.
His grades absolutely tanked. Despite his mom moving into a much nicer home with a pool, Elliot was beyond even caring. He walked right past it on his way home to go play some games. One day at school, Elliot was in PE class when another student bragged to him about sleeping with his girlfriend. Elliot called him out, saying that he didn't believe him. This was when that student presented him with an audio recording of the act, smirking while doing so. Then Elliot was called into the office. His mom was there to take him home. He burst into tears, telling her what had happened. From that day on, he would never return to that school again. Elliot felt relieved that
that's another thing. Why would his real mom safeguarded Elliot way too much. Dude, roll with the punches, dog. You know, like, yeah, kids are gonna experiment. They're gonna hook up with girls. That you don't have to cry about it. You know, you could maybe learn from it or ask him some pointers, like, hey, how did you get a date with her? I don't know, but like, to take him out of school, you're enabling this kind of, you're safeguarding your kid too much.
his parents were pulling him out of school, but that feeling would not stick around for long. He heard some terrible news. He would now be attending Taft High School, a school with much more students than Crespi, a school with girls. He was intimidated, but more than that, he was terrified. Elliot hated every second of his time at Taft. Every day, he would beg his parents not to make him go. He started refusing to leave the car, forcing his father to drag him out. The bullying only continued. Elliot still
What
continued
was
to
that?
dress as if he were wearing the uniform from middle school, mainly polo shirts and
read it?
khaki pants and nothing else. That, combined with being a late bloomer, he immediately became a target. Some people would slam him into lockers. Others would insult him.
See, that's the thing. If what was that? Do I ever get oiled up? I don't know what that means. Yeah, yes and no. I don't know what that means. But this is nothing about bullying. If you see it, you gotta say something. You can't let a kid get bullied.
Him in front of the hot girls in order to humiliate him. When the girls would laugh at this, he began to hate them. This was when he began to wonder if this is how all girls really are. On his second week of school at Taft, Elliot had a complete breakdown in front of his mom. He cried all the way to school. Afterward, Chin finally caved. She took him to a cafe instead of school and sat him down to talk. He explained his experience at these two schools, and she was appalled. She drove him to his dad's house so they could all discuss how to move forward. They came
Yeah, it's not a fake video. It's AI recreating Elliot's voice.
to the conclusion to take Elliot out of school for the time being. For a month, they tried to work out what they were going to do. Elliot took this month to completely immerse himself in World of Warcraft and close out the outside world. Elliot's parents decided to take him to what are called continuation high schools, in which you study for 3 to 4 hours a day at a school-like environment and then spend the rest of the day studying at home. Elliot ended up at Independence High School, where he continued this program. He mainly enjoyed it because it meant less time at school and more time online. Elliot...
Again, you're safeguarding your kid. You're giving him the easy way out. It's like, I mean, if I were him, I'd be like ecstatic. I'd be like, okay, I'll just go 4 hours a day, and then you could play World of Warcraft on your own in your room. I don't know what the problem is.
His father, Peter, was starting to have troubles of his own. His career was on the downturn. He decided to put all of his eggs into one basket, setting out to make a documentary called Oh My God, in which he would interview people all over the world about their opinions on religion. He felt that this would be his biggest break yet, but that would not be the case. When he left to travel the world, he hired a new nanny and gave Elliot's room to her. He then left Elliot with Sumaya, forcing them to live together on the same floor of the house. Elliot and Sumaya began to argue every time he had to stay there. He hated that Sumaya made him do chores and took away his laptop if he refused. He felt that she was trying to take away his last bit of happiness in the world.
And that's the thing. He could hate on Sumaya all he wants, but she was just providing order in his life, responsibilities, discipline. That's why he hated Sumaya so much.
He was even further enraged when his father came back home and didn't prevent her from taking it away. That summer, Elliot would go on to meet someone he would hate for the rest of his life, Leo Bubenheim. The Bubenheims had just moved into town from Germany. Elliot was furious that, after such a short time, Leo already had a lot of friends in America. Leo was everything he wanted to be but couldn't. Tall, handsome, blonde, and good at skateboarding. The Bubenheims would often...
See, instead, and that's the thing, if I were Elliot, let's say I met a dude like that, and he was way iller on the skateboard. You could learn, you go skate with him. Learn where he's putting his foot on the skateboard, how he kick flips, and he should have just bonded with that dude. And I think he was kind of a hater, a little bit.
often throw house
Elliot was kind of a
parties.
hater.
At one of these parties, Jazz, still a toddler, was running near the pool and fell in. None of the adults noticed. Elliot panicked, but jumped into the pool and saved him. Jazz did cough up some water, but...
What was his name? Shout out to Dre's. Thanks for being here, Dre's. Yeah, this is a place every Thursday we're gonna watch this stuff. We're gonna even get into the manifesto, right? This is just the beginning.
told Elliot he felt fine. Elliot was happy that he was able to save his life and took pride in the fact that Jazz continued to remember that. That summer, Philip went on vacation, but Elliot was content to play with his younger brother Jeffrey. That is, until Jeffrey told him that he had gotten a girlfriend. Elliot was extremely jealous and tried to block it from his mind, but he couldn't handle the fact that someone he saw as beneath him realistically might have sex. Elliot started to get an image in his mind of the girl he needed, a hot, blonde bombshell. He would settle for no less. He began to fantasize about this ideal woman so much that he felt as if he had an imaginary friend. Peter Rodger's financial situation was getting worse all the time. He had to cut off child support payments to Elliot's mother, leaving her with no choice but to move out of her nice house. Elliot was happy that she knew a man named Rob Lemelson, as he was able to give her a good job and enough money to keep up their lifestyle. However, Elliot was not happy with their new neighborhood. It was located in Canoga Park, which Elliot reviled as being low class.
That's actually a pretty nice area. I don't know what he's talking about. Topanga Canyon, that's a pretty nice area.
But he felt his social standing already couldn't go any lower regardless, and accepted it. Chin was making more connections within the entertainment industry, leading to her and Elliot getting invited to the red carpet premiere of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Another red carpet event. I mean, how much privilege could this guy go through? I mean, dude, he's really living it up here, right? That's Steven Spielberg right there.
Though he really hated the movie, he did appreciate the bragging rights that came along with going. He told his teachers about the event and was happy to see their surprised reactions. Around this time, Elliot's father took in an exchange student, a boy from France named Max. Elliot actually liked him a lot and they often hung out. But he started getting into arguments with Sumaya again, which embarrassed him in front of his new friend. A few days after one particularly big blowout, Max returned to France and never came back again.
No, I don't listen to any Korean artists, but if you have anything you wanted to recommend, I'll look into listening to Korean artists. I see that.
Elliot was very sad to see him go. Elliot's family continued to frequent the Bubenheim's parties, where he became even more jealous of Leo. This peaked when he saw Leo kissing a girl, despite him being a few years younger than Elliot. Leo's sister, Polina, even invited her friends over, a group of good-looking girls and boys. They were the popular kids. Upon hearing them speak, Elliot had another breakdown, crying in front of everyone at the party. At this point, he told everyone that he wanted to end his life, forcing...
See, that again, that's a weird reaction to that. Wouldn't you want, like... If there's other girls that... Dude, his problem was communication. Alright? Him crying all the time, it's like, dude, you gotta... His parents should have, like, given him courses on how to communicate with not just other boys, but girls, too. I mean, that was his main problem... Because later down the line, you'll see that this dude, when he goes into college, he would go to Domino's Pizza, like shower, go to Domino's Pizza, hang out near the popular area, and he would expect women to go up and talk to him. And that's not how life is.
Peter, Sumaya, and other partygoers to spend the next 3 hours calming him down. Elliot felt powerless. He devoted more and more time to gaming, playing World of Warcraft for up to 14 hours a day, every day. But then some good news finally came. Max was inviting Elliot to come visit him in France for a few weeks. Elliot, afraid, almost said no, but Peter convinced him to go. Elliot did want to see Max again, so he decided to go for it. He met up with Max, partied, was introduced to his friends, drank, spoke to girls, everything. He felt that, if only for a few weeks, he got a taste of the life he had always wanted. Despite being extremely jealous of Max, Elliot liked him. Admired him, even. Returning to
See, there you go. He needed to meet more Maxes in his life. Because look, he went over there. He had a good great experiences, meeting other people. And, so that should have happened back in Topanga Canyon as well.
U.S., after getting a taste of the good life, only made Elliot just that much more depressed. He got more lonely, and, in turn, even more angry. Even World of Warcraft wasn't taking the pain away anymore. Even while playing, he often felt lonely, crying while playing, and...
Well, that's an interesting comment. Someone said, the artist said, the dude was so narcissistic, couldn't handle anyone being better than him, literally throwing tantrums every time he felt inferior. Yeah, I can't disagree with that, yeah. That's why I'm saying I think someone... Whether it's an older homie should have taught him, like, hey, dude, it's all good. You're gonna, just to kind of guide him a little bit. I don't know. I don't think he had a lot of true friends, like real homies that like had his back. You need that throughout life. You need at least one or two really good dudes, or anyone to have your back, like to look out for you.
In the middle of his games, he started to spend less and less time playing as his anger took over.
I began to have fantasies of becoming very powerful and stopping everyone from having sex. I wanted to take their sex away from them, just like they took it away from me. I saw sex as an evil and barbaric act, all because I was unable to have it. This was the major turning point. My anger made me stronger inside. This was when I formed my ideas that sex should be outlawed. It is the only way to make the world a fair and just place. If I can't have it, I will destroy it. That's the conclusion I came to, right then and there. I have an exceptionally high level of intelligence. I see the world differently than anyone else. Because of all of the injustices I went through and the worldview I developed because of them, I must be destined for greatness. I must be destined to change the world, to shape it into an image that suits me. I became a new person, furiously driven by a goal. My torment would continue, but I had something to live for. I felt empowered.
All right, so that alone, if let's say I read that in his diary, dude, that's when I'm checking Elliot into a facility. I'd be like, dude, you wrote this? Okay, so we have some real problems here. Because if that was my son and I read that, I'd be like, okay, talk to the wife, be like, okay, I read this, I found this. Yeah, we're checking him in somewhere, because that ain't normal. That's dictator
Peter's
talk.
documentary finally released, and it completely bombed. It was only released in a few theaters across the United States, and very few people even went to those screenings. After investing all of his money into this venture, he got no return. He fell into a financial rut and would continue to be stuck in it for quite some time. He often told Elliot, and many others, that he was in a crisis, a word that would come to drive Elliot completely crazy. Elliot decided to put forth the extra effort at his new high school to graduate early, which he was able to do, graduating a few months before the normal date. He spent so much time on homework that he wasn't even playing Warcraft anymore, feeling satisfied that his addiction was over. Not only that, school was over. He never had to worry about high school ever again. However, this only gave him that much more time to think, to seethe in his anger. Elliot continued on a downward spiral that only he knew about. His family was none the wiser, despite his frequent breakdowns, constant crying, lack of social life, and self-proclaimed misery. Elliot started to frequently walk around the city, deep in thought, reflecting on how hopeless and unfair he felt his life was.
That's the thing is, Elliot just needed a friend, guys, you know? One good friend. I don't think people really, I mean, I'm just saying, I know it's not right, like, as far as, like, his outlooks towards a lot of things, but he was a lonely guy. He just needed a friend.
When he saw young couples on these outings, he would often become furious. Sometimes he would even record his reactions, behaving similarly to how he behaves in this video.
I'm so angry right now.
Wait, hold up.
I was enjoying a peaceful time at this beach park, and what comes to sit in front of me? A young couple, a guy with his hot girlfriend. I mean, who do they think they are? Coming here, sitting in front of me to make me feel jealous? This is the reason why I hate the world.
This is very disturbing because, one, that couple, they're just chilling at the beach, enjoying the sunset, whatever. And that's just very cryptic the way he's sitting in his ride. By the way, that car he's sitting in, BMW, y'all. Like, this is a luxury car. It's like, dude, I don't know. That's just this is really troublesome. Like him, kind of. Look, we've all felt jealousy. We've all been there, right? But dude, to make videos of it and to like vent like this, I just find it just kind of like, I don't know, out of pocket.
This is getting too out of hand. I can't go anywhere anymore without seeing these young couples getting jealous and, you know, having them remind me of what I'm lacking in life. And how can I feel a sense of pride when I go out?
You know what you could do, a sense of pride? You get your skateboard back, get a set up, get some skate shoes, go hit the park, pal. Learn how to do laser flips. I don't know. Don't do this, though. This is something you shouldn't be doing. Don't do this. This ain't going to help you one bit.
Knowing that I'll see guys with their girlfriends. I mean, look at them. Who do they think they are?
Elliot, they're just living their lives, okay? They don't even know you're there. They're just enjoying their life.
Everywhere I go, I'm all alone. And I have to see other guys. experience this world with girlfriends at their side. Like this couple right here. I hate them. Everyone probably sees me alone and then sees that guy with his girlfriend and they think that he's better than me.
See, that's another problem. In Elliot's mind, because he's in his own Truman Show, he thinks these people are paying attention and they think this about him. They don't even know you're there, bro. You're in a car, in a BMW, parked in the lot, like looking at them. Man, this is scary.
Because a girl chose him over me. I hate them.
That's the thing. If he was smart, we have to make it transformative. If he was smart, he would walk out. I would walk out of my car and be like, "Hey, I didn't mean to bother you guys. I know you're enjoying your day at the beach," and I would talk to the guy. "Hey, how'd you do it, man? Hey, guy. Like, I'm lonely. Like, you can learn from something like that, right?"
Elliot's parents slowly came to realize that he was, in his own words, becoming a radical. They began to work together to piece together a plan to improve his life for the better. Elliot felt that they were only trying to devise a way to get rid of him, though. These claims were validated in his own mind when they decided to send him back to Morocco one more time with Sumaya. However, it's more likely that his father, after seeing how open and social he was the last time, thought this might bring him back to life a little. Elliot, though, was in disbelief at the idea. He wanted to flee, but he didn't even know where he would go. He just couldn't fight the sense of panic. They already had the plane ticket ready to go, and he was set to head out in a few days. He tried throwing a tantrum in front of his mother once again, but this time it didn't work. Not knowing what else to do, Elliot stated that he was going to go on a short walk before the flight. Once he left the front door, he took off running at full speed. Once he saw Peter behind him, chasing him down, he gave up and collapsed to the ground, defeated. He twisted his head toward the ground, acknowledging that he had lost this battle. Sumaya pulled up in the car and both parents took him home. He had failed. He was going to Morocco after all. Elliot would call this experience one of the worst in his entire life. The flight was only him, Sumaya, and Jazz.
Wouldn't y'all love to go to Morocco? Like, who wouldn't love that? I would have been like, yes, please, more trips. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad.
Was only 4 years old. Jazz continuously cried and vomited on the plane, putting Sumaya into a bit of a bad mood, which rubbed off on Elliot. He wanted to die on this flight. Elliot couldn't enjoy his time abroad at all. All he wanted was to return home. This was when he got an idea, a small bit of hope. He was going to email his mom continuously from an internet cafe until she agreed to let him come home. He told her how much he hated it there and how often he cried. He begged her for one more chance to better his life.
Again, this is another problematic thing. Always going back to Ma Dukes. Mom, get me out of this bind. Mom, I don't want to be here. Mom, please. I don't want to be in another country. That's a problem. The mom has a lot to do with this, folks. The mother has a lot to do with the upbringing of Elliot, the way he became. The mom was safeguarding him. Again.
These emails have since leaked.
Dear Mom, I am writing to you from a cyber cafe because the internet they have does not work from my computer, so I can't use it. Mom, the pain I am going through right now is unbearable. I had a horrible trip here.
Hold up. Brian Suarez says, I can barely make it through the month locally. Traveling would be a blessing. Hallelujah, Brian. I agree with you. Yes, it would be a blessing. You going to Kentucky? Yes, get me a ticket. You're going to Arkansas? Get me a ticket. Yeah, that would be fantastic, right?
Traveling with Sumaya is hell. Sumaya has told me things that shook me to the very core. She said you plan on forcing me to stay here for a whole year, that there is no return slip, and that you lied to me about my freedom to return home when I want, which is now. How can you lie to me, Mom? I cannot trust anyone. I feel so alone.
Someone fresh said this kid should have gone for a child actor. I'm guessing you meant being a child actor to disguise being a crazy person. Yeah, he would have been probably. Yeah, he would have probably gotten some roles. You know, another thing, I think he would have done well in the military too. You know what I mean? I think because he would have learned discipline. He would have been too busy. You know.
I feel like the main
I think that would have been good for him.
Here is so you both can be rid of me. Mom, I am speaking from my heart. I know I made mistakes in the past, but if you come and take me home, I will try so hard to turn things around. Please give me a second chance at life. I promise I will be nice to my sister and do everything I can to prove myself. Please come and take me home. You will even see for yourself that this place is not right for me.
Trevor Ramon said this is better than Joe Rogan. I don't think that's the case, but thank you, Trevor.
I will even pay for it with all the money I have. Please do this one thing for me, Mom, or even book me a ticket home, and I will comp myself. Being here has made me realize how great my home and life in America is. I will do everything I can to turn things around if you give me one more chance. Just one more chance. Please do this one thing for me, Mom. I picture it in my mind, seeing you come meet me here and take me home. It will be the best thing in the world. It's all I think about. You cannot imagine the pain I am going through.
If I were Elliot's mom, I would be like, tough luck, stick it out, bye, and then I would block him. You know what I mean? That's the difference. The mom would just agree and enable this kind of behavior.
Sending this email sparks a little hope in me. I cannot talk to you as much as I wished, because I have to go to a dirty cyber cafe to email you. Please reply as soon as possible. Please, Mom. I picture you coming to take me home. I think about it so much. It is all I want. Come here and you will see that it is not the right place for me. Then we can go home together. It would be the best thing that will ever happen to me. This will be the last email I write to you today, but I can come back to the cyber cafe tomorrow. It's my only spark of hope. Please help me, Mom.
Nope.
After a solid week of these emails, Chen once again broke down and gave in to Elliot's demand.
Dire Trip just said it. Broke in, gave in to Elliot's demands. That's where she messed up. If you're the mom, you're supposed to say no. You're gonna stay out there for the remainder of the time. Have fun. You're in a different country, you know.
He had finally won. Knowing that his mother was coming to get him, he finally relaxed. Chen arrived in Morocco and took him back home on a flight with her. However, as it usually did, Elliot's feelings of elation quickly...
Yeah, Cindy, I agree with you. Yeah, she was not a tiger parent. Yeah, she was not a tiger. Cindy, I saw your comment. I agree.
He subsided when he returned back home to America and resumed his normal life. Elliot felt like his father no longer saw him, that he no longer tried to understand him. He felt that he was blind to his troubles. The truth was, around this time, Peter was very absorbed in his financial situation and keeping his family afloat. Elliot took offense to this and came to dislike his father, blaming him for not preparing him for the real world, for not teaching him how to talk to girls. Elliot was now 17 years old and no closer to getting the life he desired. But he began to realize that compulsory education was over. College was ahead. His life could go anywhere from here on out. This gave him a newfound sense of calm. He told his parents and his sister that he was ready to make a change for the better. His family was overjoyed to hear this. For once, Elliot wasn't talking negatively. He was hopeful. He was motivated.
You know what? This is in a parallel universe or something. If I were the wrestling coach, I would bring him into my office and I'd be like, okay, it seems like you have a lot of time on your hands. So you're playing how many hours of World of Warcraft? We're going to get you in shape. We need a 113-pounder for our junior varsity lineup. And guess what? That would occupy he had too much time and privilege, right? Like, I was busy cutting weight. I would wrestle even during the summers. I couldn't go to the beach all the time. I was like doing freestyle tournament. You're constantly so busy. That coupled with church camps, that kept me occupied.
Elliot decided to go for a complete change in persona. He got a new haircut and asked for his mother and sister to take him to the mall to help him shop for clothes.
Shout out to Trevor, the Sour Starburst. Yeah, so that helped me out. I did a Sour Starburst commercial in a Chinese restaurant. Go look that up on YouTube after this. Thank you, Trevor.
He started to put a lot of thought into his outward appearance and how he presented himself. He made a Facebook profile in a bid to begin a...
You know what? This is another thing. This is going to kind of relate back into Elliot. You don't think I was kind of hating on that star? I had 5 auditions, callback after callback, and every time I went back for that Starburst commercial, there was a another good, like, younger Asian kid. And then the fourth or fifth one I saw, his mom had a Gucci bag, and it infuriated me. But guess what? I kept showing up, you know? That's how life is, man.
social life. Given that he
It's competitive.
had avoided this side of his life for so long, he had no idea how to use any of these websites, but he decided to give it a shot anyhow. He was disappointed to find that his friends from back in the day didn't want to meet up. Some of them didn't even want to talk to him. Around this time, although the details are still murky to this day, Elliot was diagnosed with pervasive development disorder, not otherwise specified, simply abbreviated as PDD-NOS. He had acknowledged that he was depressed and often thought about taking his own life. He had no history of aggression, but was very shy, had bad problems with anxiety.
Fresh melon juice, I see you. Do you know Theo Von seriously thinks he's an 8? I would say he's an 8.5. He's a very handsome man. Jeremiah Watkins had the same thoughts. Jeremiah's a good-looking guy, too. They're both good-looking. Come on now.
He avoided crowds, had difficulty making friends, difficulty communicating, and often worried obsessively about what other people thought of him. Because of this, Elliot became eligible for services.
And guess what? I mean, we don't like Elliot's personality, but look at him. He's a good-looking guy. Right, ladies? He wasn't ugly. By any means. I mean, look at that face. He had look at those full lips, chiseled, right?
Geared toward those diagnosed with autism. He had already been taking Prozac and Xanax for about a year, taking Paxil for anxiety sometimes as needed.
Trevor, I see you.
Elliot didn't take it on a regular basis, but he would make sure to take one before ever attending a party, event, or anything with a sizable crowd.
Fresh melon juice. Are you saying Theo is not ugly? He's a good-looking guy. Okay, I don't know what you're he's not ugly, okay? I keep seeing your comment.
The next year was fairly uneventful until it finally came time for Elliot to celebrate his 18th birthday.
Let's go, Elliot,
He
18.
was now an adult. He had a quiet celebration at a restaurant with his mother and father, with Sumaya still being in Morocco. He took a vow within himself to make this next year
shout out to
good
Cale
one. He
Hubert.
genuinely wanted to turn his life around, start over, and finally attain the lifestyle he desired.
I mean, I bet you this motherfucker was flying first class to different countries. He had it all lined up for him.
With his newfound zest for life, it was now time for Elliot to start thinking about what he was going to do for college. He hoped to meet a lot of new people, gain some friends, and possibly even a girlfriend. Setting his eyes on Pierce College, a large community college in Woodland Hills near his home, he decided to spend as much time on campus as possible. While summer dragged on, Elliot decided to get a head start on this social life by going over to Philip's house in order to meet up with him and Addison, who he hadn't seen.
I'm just letting y'all know this is the time, all right, to meet women, to date, college, right? Because, like, I know high school for some, but for me, I was a virgin, right? Throughout high school, okay? But this was supposedly Elliot's time, okay?
Since his time at Topanga Elementary. He didn't even recognize him. He seemed like a different person, looking much older than he was. Philip, though, didn't feel like he was as close to Elliot as Elliot thought he was, later stating,
all right, Gashier, I see your comment, but dude, I can't even enter that minefield. I'll start trembling. I'll get panic attacks. Okay, I don't even want to read your comment, but I see you, Gashier. Thanks.
In reality, I was just trying to be nice to Elliot. He was incredibly hard work to talk to, and I would always make sure Addison was there when we met up. Elliot was out shopping with Chin when he discovered a new interest, the lottery. Upon buying the first lottery ticket out of the machine, he had to ask his mother how it even works. He was in disbelief at the prospect of potentially winning so much money. None of the 3 tickets he bought were winners, but the idea of becoming a millionaire so easily stuck around in his mind. Elliot finally started his class.
See, that's another problem. Elliot thought, if I'm a millionaire, that's when I get the girls. That's when I get the dates. That's not true. Guess what, Elliot? You need to learn how to communicate. You need to learn some game. The world ain't gonna come to you. Even if you were to win hundreds of millions, you still have to talk and communicate, okay? You can't just flash your money and be like, okay, the world, everything is gonna come to me. That's not how life works, pal.
Classes at Pierce College. Unlike
Frugal
high
brothers
school, he
strike
started class
again.
with the idea that things would turn out well, and for a while he kept his spirits up. Shortly after, however, Sumaya got back from Morocco. Needless to say, she was furious at how he had left before. She more or less kicked him out of his father's house. Being that he was now 18, there was no reason she couldn't.
You can't blame Sumaya. You know, at first I was kind of neutral about Sumaya, but dude, at least she put her foot down. Opposed to his real mom, who like gave him everything. Okay, you can fly back from Morocco. Okay, I'll buy you this laptop. Okay, you want the new World of Warcraft? I'll get you that. Whatever you need. It's like, nah.
Much to Elliot's dismay, his father didn't prevent her from doing so. He went from a lack of respect for his father to outright disliking him, seeing him as a weak man who gave his wife all the power. From that point onward, Elliot exclusively lived at his mother's house. He would often go on walks around the neighborhood, hoping that someone would befriend him or a girl would talk to him.
Do you hear that? He would wait. He would go to these places and wait for people to engage in conversation with him. Like, imagine, that's kind of weird, dude. If I saw someone at Starbucks just like standing around and looking at me, and like, I would feel weirded out. Like what's this guy's problem? Like, that's the thing, is like, I don't know. Look, Samaya's the only one that put her foot down. That's all I'm saying. And he needed to learn communication skills. That's all.
He was skipping the step of taking the initiative and hoping that relationships would come to him. He would sit at Barnes & Noble for hours at a time, hoping someone would speak to him, but they never did.
I've done that too. I've walked into Barnes & Nobles hoping that too. But guess what? It doesn't work. No one is going to talk to you. The only person that's going to talk to you, if you're lurking at a business, they're going to say, hey, we're closing up. Can you please leave? In his mind, he thought like a blonde bombshell would walk up to him at Barnes & Nobles. That's not how life works, Elliot.
He started messaging Addison more on Facebook, trying to start up a conversation. Addison invited him out to his birthday party.
Yo, shout out to my boy Vince Bay. I see you, bro. Thank you.
A small get-together on the beach. Elliot, in all of his nervousness, drank far too much booze, vomiting outside of Addison's apartment, embarrassing himself in front of everyone. He would spend a lot of time trying to block that memory from his mind. On Halloween, Elliot decided that he needed to go to a party. He couldn't just sit at home. So he stalked Facebook until he found out about a house party in West Hills. He decided to go without even being invited, feeling he had nothing.
Hold up. I see. I want to read this. Honey hates me. Elliot was blown out from early childhood. Mental health wasn't addressed. Curly Fry Dad wasn't emotionally available. Kid went further off the rails. Didn't skate.
Thing to lose anyhow.
I can't disagree with you there, pal. I agree.
5 minutes out to the home. He went inside only to be disappointed at the small size of the party. Seeing that all of the other people there knew each other, he stood around awkwardly before leaving a few minutes later. On his way home, a group of young men drove past him in a truck and threw eggs at him, laughing all the way. Seemingly being drunk, they missed him. Elliot picked up some egg scraps and tried to throw them back, causing the men to come out and attack him. Elliot claimed...
You know what I just thought? If he would have stuck with the skateboarding thing, let's say remember like maybe an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, how when he was younger, he went to the skate parks. What if he was so lonely, he would just be mad at the skate park and he just got super good at skateboarding, right? That's when I believe things would come to you. Let's say if you got so ill on the skateboard, that's when other skateboarders will come up to you. Hey, bro, there's a party, there's a kegger down the street. And that was maybe his ticket in. If he got so ill at skateboarding, then I think things would have, not only the attention, but sponsors and all that stuff.
Claims that he scared them off with his pocket knife. It's unclear how true that is, but he admits to getting scared and running back home in terror. Once again feeling weak, Elliot decided to start lifting weights.
Okay, that's positive.
He started working out at the gym in his mom's apartment whenever he could, hoping to increase his confidence and appear a bit bigger, and more than anything, hoping it would attract a girl. After a few months, Sumaya's anger died down a bit, and Elliot started going over to his father's house occasionally for dinner. He still hadn't regained his respect for either of them, but tried to hide it. Trying to mend things, Peter offered to help Elliot get his driver's permit. After a few tries, he managed to get it. Elliot's motivation slowly waned over time. He was again feeling sad, frustrated, and angry. He hadn't made any new friends, and after a few months, still hadn't spoken to any girls. Chin decided to hold a small party at a beach house owned by her friend, inviting James, his family, some of Elliot's other friends, and surprisingly, Maddie Humphreys. Elliot...
Okay, for those of you who are just joining us, Maddie is the girl that from his childhood. Now she's, I mean, look at her now. So this is, so this is interesting. It's kind of like a movie. It's like he once knew her as a kid. Now he sees her and she's more mature, a teenager.
It was mind-blown to see what Maddie looked like after 6 years. He knew she was a popular kid now, and she seemed uncomfortable with how awkward he was. She was becoming one of the hot blonde girls he wanted so badly. Elliot began to feel that Addison was looking down on him, with him becoming one of the cool kids, and
Ooh, that hurts. I feel his
pain. He found
pain.
Addison to have become cocky and arrogant, feeling as if he treated him like a loser. His attitude soured, and it only made him feel like even more of a loser to himself. He felt that all of the time and effort he had been putting forth was for nothing. Nothing had changed. In turn, Elliot dropped his classes.
That's the thing. In Elliot's mind, he thought hitting the gym, getting the good clothes, getting the great cologne, having the money, that helps, but that ain't gonna solve your problem, pal. You're gonna have to learn to communicate. You know what I mean?
Despite hating Addison, he still met up with him and Philip from time to time. It was the only...
Yeah, rude dog. I agree. She was way out of his league. Like, yeah, I saw that picture. That kind of startled me. I'm like, whoa, okay. Yeah, that she was out of a lot of our leagues.
Semblance of a social life he actually had, and it gave him an opportunity to vent and whine.
But this is the thing. Out of his league, but he could have made a difference. What if he, like, was tight with her and they grew up together and she became, like, really tight with Elliot? That would have changed things a little. Because guess what? You got... You have an ally in that sense. Even though you friend zone yourself, guess what? When you get older, hey, come meet Elliot. He's my buddy from childhood. And that could have been another angle for him.
After a while, Addison deleted him from his friends list, prompting Elliot to send him a hateful message in response, describing Addison as a disgusting and treacherous little bastard.
Oh, wow.
Elliot started to delve more into philosophy, reading books at Barnes & Noble while he waited for a girl to talk to him. He began to realize that he had a desire...
You notice a common theme here? He's always waiting. Waiting for a girl to talk to him. It's not gonna happen, pal. You're gonna have to open your mouth. You know what'll help? I mean, look, I don't want to enter the whole red pill philosophy thing, but one thing that they do teach is that, don't they teach you how to communicate and how to, like, really, I don't really know much about it, but I'm sure that that would have helped him a little bit as far as just learning how to talk to women, you know?
To punish everyone who wasn't lonely, especially anyone sexually active. He envisioned a world in which nobody was allowed to have any intimate relations, something he saw as a utopia. In his utopia, he thought children would only be born through artificial insemination.
Shout out to my man Godsoul. I see you. And I noticed your goblin, Godsoul. John Goblicon next week on the STEEBEE'S show. Tune in, folks. It's a fun one. Really nice goblin.
While shopping, he ran into Maddie once again.
There you go. There she is.
With her boyfriend. Despite being obsessed with blonde white girls, he wasn't particularly attracted to her, probably due to growing up with her. He still found it awkward that she had a boyfriend, saying hello and running away. Elliot decided that he would find a girlfriend of his own, so he tried to find a girlfriend on Craigslist, but to no avail. When he made a Facebook post venting his frustration at the lack of success, one of the people on his friends list heavily criticized him for doing something so ridiculous, pointing out that it was a terrible way to find a girl. Elliot's mom
Alright, so yeah, he messed up there, right? He went online looking for a girlfriend. You know what he could have done? And this just kind of entered my brain, man. When he was playing World of Warcraft, or, you know, because I know on Xbox, you could meet people on Xbox, like through the video game community. Dude, he could have met someone just doing what he loved on World of Warcraft, met some girl in Wisconsin, you know, and, like, built up a relationship, and that's just texting, right? Less pressure on him, right? He could have done that route, too. Comment if you agree.
Frustrated with his lack of activity, urged him to go find a job. Consistently, she ordered him to go find one. With the home environment getting less pleasant, Elliot asked his father for help. Peter offered to hook him up with a job working for his friend Carl, building a staircase. Much to his surprise, Elliot liked the work and found it pleasant. On his final day,
That's positive. I like that. Good.
working on the staircase, Elliot decided to drop by his father's house unannounced for a drink. Without knocking, he walked in and went toward the kitchen. Sumaya was angry at his lack of respect, asking him to go back outside and knock. Elliot refused, telling her he was an adult and she had no right to order him around. He then grabbed a glass of water, causing Sumaya to knock it out of his hand. Peter angrily stormed up the stairs, asking what was going on. The three of them had an argument, with Peter taking Sumaya's side. They both kicked Elliot out, telling him not to come back. Elliot hated both of them at this point, feeling no desire to see his father ever again.
Again, Sumaya is the only one that put her foot down, right? She's like, hey, don't enter my house disrespectfully. Have some respect. And he was probably super pissed that his father took Sumaya's side. But I understand where she's coming from. Yeah, I'm Korean, dude. If I looked at my dad wrong across the dinner table, that's a beatdown. Straight up.
Shortly after,
Shut
his
up.
father sent him
Yeah,
an
I
email
shouted you out. Shout out to Godsoul. Yo, Godsoul. Shout out to Godsoul. I shouted you out before because I commented on your goblin, on the goblin profile pic there. Shout out to Godsoul.
Dear Elliot, all of us here were really upset by your attitude and behavior yesterday. The root
JW said communication is the key word to building up a relationship. Again, I agree.
rudeness and lack of respect was upsetting indeed. Your language was really bad. There's no excuse to call anyone those words. No excuse in the world. You really can't just materialize and creep in unannounced anywhere and then demand things without a...
So Bruno said, you have a good heart, Stevie. He had no hope. We can only make pretend, but he was a lost case from the start. Huge loser or totally on the spectrum and not diagnosed. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there.
a certain social grace. That was what we were trying to explain to you. Yet you ignored it, pushed, and became abusive. You hurt everyone's feelings. I'm sure you were hurt too by the reaction that comes back when you push out hate. As soon as you realize that you have to act in this life with fairness, love, and respect, you will be welcomed with open arms into this house and embraced. But you steadfast refuse to realize that you need to be respectful and not abusive. So there's a stalemate. This all has to be worked on, and you will find out that when you start to treat people with fairness and kindness and not harshly and with anger that is uncalled for, the happiness that you seek will flood into your life and you will become everything you desire. That is what you need to learn, and that is what I hope I can teach you with all my love and respect to you. You are loved. Try showing some back and the world will open for you. I hope that you begin to understand that. It is the biggest lesson of your life.
I mean, that's a fair message, I think, to send Elliot, you know? That's fair.
Call me if you wish tomorrow and explain how you feel. In the meantime, I feel that you understand what you did, and you have to find a place in your heart for love and not hate. So, lots of love from me. Your father, Dad.
I mean, that's a fair message. And like, I'm reading some of these comments. Yeah, he might be a lost case, too. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying maybe he needed to be institutionalized. I don't know that. I'm not in the medical field, obviously. Yeah, it's interesting though.
Elliot wasn't
To
quite
study
having
this.
it. This email only made him even more enraged. He fired back with a message of his own, writing,
Dear Peter, it seems you have sent this message to the wrong person. You accuse me of showing bad attitude and behavior, rudeness, and lack of respect when clearly it was your wife who did all these things. I just reacted accordingly. It's also funny how you accuse me of bad language when it was, again, your wife who uttered much more hurtful words towards me, such as calling me a dog and a thief for helping myself to a glass of water, which I should be able to do in my own house. I have no excuse for calling her a bitch. I do not...
I see you, Godsoul.
I was merely stating the truth. I showed up at my family's house. Unannounced, yes, like I always do, after a long bicycle ride to drop in and say hello. I am immediately greeted with attitude and insolent behavior from your wife, along with rudeness and lack of respect. She demanded that I go out and knock as if I should be towered.
But that's a problem. You need to show respect because she's your elder, right? See, there's a difference there, right? Elliot, well, shout out to Cosmo. You know Hollywood, is it real? I don't know. They call it Hollyweird. I don't know. But Hollywood is from the holly tree, and magicians would cast spells using the wood from a holly tree. Look into that.
Lesson like a little child. That is how you two view me, and that has to change if you ever want my respect. After that whole instance, I receive a call from your wife telling me that she is going to report me to the police. Good luck with that. I committed absolutely no crime. And that you are going to testify as a witness. No respectable father would do such a thing, even if their son broke in through a window. The entire email of accusations you sent me is an accurate caricature of your inexorable devotion and loyalty to your wife, and your lack of respect for me. No matter how wicked her actions are, you are always blind to her wrongs. It has been this way forever. You have always stood by her side when she has acted rude and unfair to me, and always justified her actions. I pity your weakness and lack of perspective. Judging from the text messages you sent my mother today, I have come to the conclusion that you view me as nothing more than a child and a demented lunatic. My mother has no influence over my view towards your wife whatsoever, quite the contrary, actually. My views towards her are based on the actions she has displayed towards me throughout the years. Oh, and now comes the part where you start listing down the good things she has done for me, completely disregarding the bad. You have no respect for me as a mature adult, and therefore I shall no longer have any respect for you until you apologize and admit you're wrong.
You know what I realized too is like he could have become a writer. Like his writing's pretty good, right? The way he formulates his sentences and stuff. It's like that could have been another option for him. I know like this could have been a lose-lose situation, but I'm just saying he had a good like he gave up on skateboarding, right, a while back, but like look at his writing here.
Sincerely, Elliot.
It was very evident that Elliot didn't take his father's previous email to heart. Feeling to be out of options, Peter left Elliot with one bit of advice. Dear Elliot, and there lies the problem, your unwillingness to understand.
See, this is another thing I'm realizing. There's too much back and forth. Like, you know, again, growing up in my household, none of this would have occurred. It would have been, I would have gotten a beat down, and that's that. And I would have, like, went to my room and just said, whoa, I shouldn't have done that, you know? That there's a huge difference here. I don't know if it's, like, a generational thing, but, like, yeah, like, none of this would have happened, this dialogue between me and my dad. It would have been a beat down for me. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying my experience. Yeah, none of this would happen.
Is what has to be fixed. Love to you, Dad. Elliot needed to get the last word in. Although there wasn't much to respond to, he fired back with one more message regardless.
Dear Peter, the problem is your unwillingness to understand true perspective. Did you pay attention to anything I said in my last email? No, you did not, because you perceive me as a demented lunatic.
See, that's the thing. If my dad would have understood and I gave him that letter, dude, he would have taken that keyboard again, and boom. That's it, dude. Straight up Thor hammer to my back.
Well, I will no longer waste any more.
Oh, we're gonna do Cho Sung Wee in the future.
Divest your stubbornness and open your mind.
Oh, we're gonna do that, B. We're gonna.
Peter.
Hey, B, I see Stevie comments on Virginia. We're gonna do that for a future watch along. Cho Sung Wee is on my radar. We're gonna, cause you know what? It's gonna even be more real because he's Korean, and I could give you my take. You know, as far as like his thought process. You know, being a Korean dude, having his parents, you know, come to the States, all that. Shout out to my man, Eric Espinoza. Much love to Stephen Duke. Hell yeah, Eric. Love you. Shout out to Angie, too.
No matter what I write, it will have no effect on you, will it? Because you are ignorant and only listen to one person, your wife.
And, defeated, Peter sent him one last message. Elliot, you really have an awful lot to learn. I am so sorry you feel that way. With love, Dad. That same week, Elliot met up with Philip and Addison, once again experiencing a negative interaction. The three of them went out to Griffith Park Observatory, where they often met and had a chat. This chat derailed into an argument between Elliot and Addison. Elliot tried to insult him as much as he could, angry that he saw him as such a loser. Philip awkwardly stayed out of the conversation. But by the end of the night, Addison couldn't stand hearing about Elliot's girl troubles even one more time, telling him,
"No girl in this whole world would ever wanna fuck you."
That one sentence would prove to reverberate at the back of Elliot's mind for the rest of his life.
See, that's not cool. Elliot already has these mental demons, and for that guy to say something like that, that probably stuck in Elliot's head, you know? He already had low self-esteem, right? No communication skills, so that's wrong for that guy to say something like that. Shout out to Dubstep and love you and Bro Bobby. What are the top 2 restaurants you guys like to eat at, hanging out together? There's some good ones. Agassi is good, and Chosun as far as Korean food. But Bob's on a different level. He's probably going to steakhouses nowadays. Who knows?
1 week
Shout out to
later, his
Dubsteppin'.
father contacted him one more time and tried to set him up with a therapist. His own therapist, actually, one that he had been seeing for a while. Peter reassured him that none of them thought he was crazy, they mainly only wanted to help him. There isn't any record as to whether or not Elliot gave this therapist a shot. What we do have is an apology email he sent to Sumaya.
Hey, Sumaya. The situation we're in is not a very pleasant one. I know I've been rude to you, and I apologize for that. How about we just forget about everything that's happened?
Shout out to MKU. Holy shit, you're Live Ninja. What super fan. Shout out to MKU. Yeah, we're just getting started. We're gonna dive into Elliot Rodger, then Cho Sung Wee, and we're just gonna keep this going. We might even get
happen and move on.
We'll see for the future. But this is a long This is a 3.5 hour video we're watching here.
And I think you do too.
Sumaya, though, was not having it. She was done with
Lazy Beach Bum says, Steve, can you do murder mysteries? Yeah, I'm open to it all. Like John Bennett Ramsey, I'm interested in your opinion on who killed the little girl. Yeah, I'll look into that for sure.
Elliot. After trying to be a parent to him for
John
most
Bennett
of his life,
Ramsey.
she was finished. She responded, writing, "Hi, Elliot. The unpleasant situation has been going on for 11 years. It is not because you decided to say sorry that it makes everything alright. It is not because you decide to say you're sorry that I have to welcome you with open arms. I have done that for the last 11 years and I have only been treated with disrespect. I will explain. The last time I saw you and your mother in Morocco, Ma Khadija ended up in the hospital. That was the last straw. You didn't even bother writing or showing that you cared. Instead, carried on with your mother insulting me and writing to Jinx, Rana, and your father to put them against me. It didn't work, so now..."
Yeah, Too Good at Bad Jokes says, crazy how the frustration stemmed since middle school. Probably even before that. Probably elementary school as well, Too Good.
"Oh, you say you're sorry. So if we roll back 11 years ago, I will tell you what I've done and what I got back from you and your mother. Every time that I tried to explain that you needed to listen or do something, you would tell me that your mother said you didn't have to do anything I say. Every time that we wanted to have a family, joyful time together, like going to the movies, beach, restaurant, or park, you would say, how about not? And when, if we still went, you would make our lives hell, so we stopped going altogether. Every time that I had an argument with your daddy, it was because of you. Every time you manipulated words that I would say to your mother and your father and created a very stressed relationship between us and many
Shout out to Honey Hates Me. Thanks for joining us. See you later, honey.
I never taught Jazz to hate anybody. He calls your mother Mama Chin. I was the one to teach him that. What did yours teach you? To hate me. I cannot have that anymore.
You know what's crazy? There's a lot of dialogue here, but if you could go in a time machine and go to Elliot, wouldn't you want to at least befriend him and be his friend to maybe change his life, to be a good role model, teach him how to talk to people? Like, I don't know. I think about that. Like, what if he had that one good friend to, like, steer him the other way? To get him more to the skate park, to maybe to encourage his writing talents. He could have written several books. Very talented writer here.
I was the one
I think
that
about
proposed
stuff like
to your
that.
father that we should have you every other week, not every other weekend, so he could really know you. Even after realizing what a difficult child you were, I still tried to be close to you. I never tried to be your mother, but I treated and loved you like my own child. You have made my life miserable for 11
Yeah, Bruno, I hear you. Yeah, like middle school, yeah, I wasn't thinking about girls, but that's... to be honest with you, I got more girls in middle school than I did in high school. I actually kissed a girl in middle school.
years, and now I want to put a stop to it. You ended up calling me a fucking bitch and making...
And not a normal kiss. This is like a real French kiss, is what I'm telling you, in middle school.
Move as if you were going to hit me. You have brought me so much sadness that right now I would like you to stay as far away from me as possible. I have warned you that this would happen. I cannot have Jazz see me as angry as you made me. You have always pushed and pushed me away. Now I'm away. It's very hard for me to forget.
Okay, Gashier says, I would have told him the truth that he needs to severely lower his standards because blondes don't go for half Asians. I can't disagree with you there, right? I mean... dude, he's half Asian. Hey, dude, there's pretty Asian girls. Why didn't you, like, steer that way? You know? And went for the Cindy Chin. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that was a tough road ahead, you know? For him, right? But, yeah, I hear you.
Been going through from you and your mother. To be called cruel, abusive, crazy, and a fucking bitch, then be criticized with every move I make in my own house. I have to put a stop to this, an end to this very, very abusive relationship. Now you need to know your father loves you no matter what, and of course you guys will see each other, and I hope you will have the most wonderful relationship from now.
You know, Double Down said, my first kiss was in 6th grade. Her name was Carrie, LOL. Yeah. Yeah. Mine was in 6th grade, too. And her name was Molly Sanders.
How on that you decided to be a positive, normal person. I'm very happy for you and your father, but this has to happen without me. I have thought about this for very long, and I have come to this decision. I have spoken to...
Okay, the thing is, ironically, my girlfriend is blonde. So it kind of worked out for me, y'all, you know? I take that back. I got a good one. I basically kind of struck the lottery in that world. Yeah, okay? Although, but I'm saying from Elliot's point of view, he was stuck on the blonde thing, okay? He should have just opened up his, whatever, his possibilities.
Many friends and psychiatrists, and every single one of them told me to keep away from a situation that is destructive for me, Jazz, and your father. You shouldn't call...
Yeah, blondes like Asians, but I think in Elliot's situation, he should have opened up the spectrum and just, not just, he should have been obsessed with just the blonde thing, okay? But he was already, it could have been any kind of woman. He was already, the cards were against him because guess what? He didn't know how to talk. So.
Call your father a coward. It has nothing to do with him. It is my decision and nobody tells me what I should or not do, and this has been the case since I've known you. In your mother's words and your own, this is a dysfunctional, angry, crazy house. So why would you ever want to come here? I would stay away if I were you. And for your mother, if I'm an angry, sick, abusive person, how could she let you come back over and over again for the last 11 years? Now I'm saying, enough is enough. I don't want any more abuse from you or your mother. Please feel free to show this letter to your mother. She might be able to say sorry to you. Please try to let the situation rest and don't push and push your father. It won't work. Get busy with other things in life and forget about me. I am not the cause for your unhappiness. Happiness is a choice, not given.
There's too much back and forth going on here. Don't y'all think there's too much back and forth letter writing? It's like this should be said in person. It's like, you know what I mean? I don't agree with that. I think, you know, in person's better.
Thank you for understanding and keeping away from me. All the best for you and wish you all the well for your future from the bottom of my heart and from far away.
I hear you, Cashier.
Elliot came to find out that his mother was actually dating Jack, the wealthy man who owned the Malibu beach house where they often had parties. Jack was a man with a net worth of $500 million. Once Elliot heard about this, he clung to the idea that his mother would marry into such wealth. He felt that would solve everything.
No, that would not solve anything. That would have made things worse for him. Because guess what? The entitlement would have raised way over his head. He would have thought he could buy the world. It's like, no. I'm glad that didn't happen. I don't think that, like, you know,
as a result,
grew into
Elliot
fruition.
began to continuously beg Chin to marry this man, or any wealthy man. It didn't really matter who. She adamantly refused, pleading with him to stop bothering her about it. She didn't want to remarry, fearing it would turn out like her last marriage. Elliot told her that she should sacrifice her own well-being for his happiness, a statement that offended her greatly.
Yeah, I think any mother would be offended if, like, her son said, "Mom, please marry the rich guy with $500 million. You'll solve all our problems." Nah, it's not gonna solve anything.
Elliot finally got his driver's license. After this, he finally heard some good news. His mother had gotten a new car from Jack, meaning that she could give Elliot her old one. He was about to experience an element of freedom that he never had before. Elliot was already done with Pierce College. He hadn't entirely given up on his fantasy.
See, that kind of made me mad. He was balling out with the goddamn BMW. There should be no excuses, Elliot. You should be balling out, and that's the car to have, right? You would think, right?
Of a fun and eventful college life, however. He took an interest in Moore Park College, driving out with his mom to take a look. He found the place visually appealing, at least, mainly when he saw more pretty...
Too Good at Bad Jokes said, did no one want him to get counseling? Yeah, that's a very fair question. Yeah, you would think at this point he's saying these things, he's acting very bizarre. Yeah, you would think if you were the parents, you would definitely get like 10 counselors for him, right? You would think.
Girls that he had ever seen at his old school. There were blonde girls everywhere. This alone convinced Elliot to sign up.
Too Good at Bad Jokes says again, I'd be going to my parents' parties meeting other kids. Yeah, you would do that because you're smart. Okay? Yeah, I would too.
Felt that spark of hope once more. This new college seemed perfect in every way. However, Elliot was merely blinded by his desire to talk with one of these girls. He wasn't really interested in any other aspects of the school. But just like Elliot's previous school, this college would soon come to be just as much of a disappointment. Upon seeing a few good-looking couples in the area of the school that he imagined taking his future girlfriend to, he broke down. In class...
Franco Avila says he needs a council room, LOL. Steve, yeah, I agree with you.
No better. He saw a cute girl in this class that always sat next to a bigger man with a buzz cut, a man Elliot felt was obnoxious. He wasn't only jealous, he grew to hate them both with a passion, staring at them throughout class.
See, that's another problem of his. He was a hater. Don't hate. Learn. If you were that kid and you saw a guy always with a girl, wouldn't you want to learn and see like what is he doing? What's his secret? Wouldn't you want to talk to him and kind of like, you know, get some some feedback from him? I would.
It's making them feel awkward. Elliot's mother told him that perhaps he should aim to be a writer, adding that he had some talent in writing. Elliot thought this...
Look, I said that 20 minutes ago. I agree. He was a good writer, all right? And thank God the mom saw that, okay? He should have followed that road.
This was a great idea. If that were to happen, he felt his book could be made into a movie that would, in turn, make him rich and get him a girlfriend. This gave him something to work for. He spent
Hada says his envy is super relatable for me. Look, we could all relate, right? We've all been there, right? But you don't have to stay there.
Few weeks working toward writing.
Yeah, that's a normal thing to be envious. Yeah, I was jealous and envious of all my friends who got girls in high school.
He forgot about his schooling. He wrote some outlines for 3 different stories, 2 of which he presented to his mother for critique. She told him that either one could make a good movie, which made him even more confident. He debated on going straight to writing a screenplay. But Elliot's confidence soon shattered once he started reading articles online about how hard it was to make...
God dang. Too Good at Bad Jokes he's dropping some gems. He was antagonized at a young age to hate people and grew into adult life. Yeah, I agree.
As a writer, finding that the chances of a screenplay being made into a movie were very low.
God dang, you guys are just dropping gem after gem. JW said he became a hater as a defensive mechanism being rejected. Yeah.
He found that
can't disagree with you. Yeah.
He wouldn't have become as rich as he thought he would. Definitely not enough to coast on for the rest of his entire life. In fact, it seemed like he likely wouldn't be significantly wealthy until he was in his 40s or even his 50s. He didn't want to wait that long, so he gave...
Okay, Hada said, I'm extremely envious about other guys around my crush. That's normal, but there's other fish in the sea, pal, okay? Don't be so fixated on that, okay? Life goes on. It's not a race. And be confident, okay? Be confident in yourself.
Up. He could no longer stand seeing couples in class anymore, so he dropped one of them. He then realized how disappointed his mom would be.
What's up,
given
Lee?
that class had just started. His car, his home, and basically everything he had actually belonged to her. He panicked, hoping that getting a job would lessen the impact.
Okay, Luzar says exactly this is everyone's story. What pushed him to rampage? I think the final straw, we'll get to it probably in part 2, but I think it goes to, when he goes to Santa Barbara, because he transfers to Santa Barbara, goes to a house party, and he mocks some girls, and and some guys push him off, and like he breaks his ankle, and I think that was the final straw. We're gonna get to it. I didn't want to jump to that yet, but yeah, there's certain things that happen chronologically to make him, that made him snap.
He spoke to his social skills counselor and tried to get one. Elliot's parents began to argue more and more about their financial situation. While Chin had accepted that she was no longer getting child support, she asked him...
Hada says, did Elliot even try? I heard he didn't even try coming up to any girls at all except for once when he was drunk at a party. No, he did not try, and that's the whole problem with this whole thing, is Elliot expected the world to come to him. He did not try to even engage in conversations with women. So, no, to answer your question, he did not try. He expected them to come to him.
Peter for some help paying Elliot's car insurance. Peter, Elliot is going to start classes at Moorpark College summer. I am giving him my car to drive to the college, and his counselor will work to get him part-time work. Now, taking into consideration he has transportation, I plan to let him have the car from next week.
My man Yesay says, poor mental health neglected by his biological mom. I can't disagree with you there.
So he can go register and active seek work with his counselor. I
Can't
am
disagree
writing
with
to
you
to
there.
ask that you make this small contribution towards Elliot's further education by paying for his auto insurance. Peter still hadn't gotten back on his feet after his disastrous feature film. He sent an email.
My man Clyde said he needs to be comfortable on his own, otherwise he'll be desperate. No one likes desperate energy.
Back,
They can
saying,
smell that a mile away. I agree.
I would love to help, but I am in a crisis. I can't even write a check.
And another thing, there's nothing wrong with being alone and being within your own solitude. You know, he could have done he could have written a lot of books. He could have gotten good in a lot of things. He didn't have to, stay in that, you know?
Right now, and all my credit cards are maxed out. As soon as the situation changes and I start getting money again, I would be delighted to
I'm not
help out.
preparing for any roles.
It was
Harold
becoming
Glob.
clear that Chin used Elliot in order to guilt-trip Peter, although unsuccessful, writing, Peter, it is sad you continue to opt out of Elliot's needs. It is no longer acceptable for Elliot. Fathers provide for their children. They would even borrow, beg, or steal to provide for their kids, to prepare their son for life, to give him the tools to succeed. Elliot
I'm gonna
is
get a
very
haircut. I'm sorry for my
disappointed
hair.
in you, and I
Tiger
don't
belly.
blame him. Peter fired back, simply stating, Chin, it's funny how you only communicate with me when you want money. Chin doubled down, once again speaking on behalf of Elliot to make a point. Peter, P.S. I told Elliot I
Absolutely.
am done with you. He told me he is done with you as well, but I will write in response for him to hopefully make this happen for him. He agreed that I should response.
David H. says, no amount of blonde hair is going to boost that confidence. Self-esteem was way too low.
Bye.
I agree with that.
Peter was not happy with this, causing him to respond with one more email. Listen, Chin, I'm not sure you understand the meaning of crisis. Stop kicking me when I'm down. Right now I have $55K in credit card debt,
Thank you, Bruno.
no money in the bank, defaulting on a $950,000 mortgage. My mom gave me $1,000 for my birthday, and I paid you $500 for Georgia out of it. I'm working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, trying to get out of this hole. I didn't say I wasn't going to help. I can't right now. I have $350 left for food till the end of the month until a check comes in, which has been postponed every week now for the last 3 months. What do you want me to do? Send over my bank statements to prove that I'm in a crisis? What is it you don't understand?
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, just to backtrack, his father, his documentary tanked, and he lost money. So this is what they're referring to. Yeah, he was going through a hard time financially, you know?
The C, the R, the I, the S, the next I, or the next S. Elliot, don't listen to your mother's manipulation. I love you and want to help you, but I am in a crisis. When I have got through it, I would be delighted to help. Now please just send me some love and good words instead of kicking me when I'm down. Both of you. Elliot, as soon as
see you
I
later,
begin to recover
Lazy
from
Beach
this
Bum.
crisis, I will be there for you. It's still unclear how involved Elliot was with the responses in Chen's emails, although he did read them. He sent some emails of his own to his grandma.
Yeah,
Jinx,
don't forget
but
to
he
like
didn't seem to be
the stream,
particularly
guys.
angry in them. He told her that he had
Like
joined
and share.
college, started driving, and just needed some money. She sent him about $500.
Leave
and
comments,
he
share.
thanked her for it. Still, though, Peter wasn't happy with the fact he went to Jinx after all of this, causing him to blow up on Chen. In defense of his mother, Elliot wrote a long-winded, rambling, angry email to his father, some of which...
God, Clyde keeps dropping these gems. He needed friends. Positive male reinforcement is huge for young guys, whether with peers like your buddies or older mentor types. Good one, Clyde. I agree.
States.
About your senseless rant, dear Peter.
Shout out to MKU. Have you thought about reacting to scary videos? Yeah, this is just the beginning. I just did this just to break the ice, but yeah, I'll write down scary videos. Yeah. I'll do I want to do demonic one, like the possession ones too, scary videos. I wrote it down, MKU. Shout out to you.
Guess who? It's your son. Yes, you have another son, an illiterate one at that. Search your feeble mind.
That's another thing. There's scary Ring camera footage I want to review. We might do that on a future stream as well. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it.
And I'm sure you'll remember. You actually think my mother is using me for money. Well, I always thought you were a bit stubborn and stupid, but I didn't expect this folly from you. Let me enlighten your obstinate mind to some truth, if that's possible.
Obstinate mind? Wow, he was a writer.
Try. It was I who first requested allowance from my grandma because I need money for college, something you promised me quite some time ago. Oh, did you forget? Anyways, I asked my mother to send an email to Grandma Jinx to confirm that I am going to attend college, for if she receives an email from both my mother and I, she would be more inclined to help.
I mean, just his language is so smug, isn't it? Like the entitlement, right?
You claim that my mother is manipulative and conniving, yet you believe she will attempt to pull off a foolish stunt like that. You're contradicting yourself. Even if she is fool enough
to I love Mr. Ballin. Yeah, I watch his videos.
Why go through the trouble? She has a decent paying job, unlike you, and many rich connections. An extra $120 a month wouldn't be worth the trouble. You cannot blame me for my harsh word, Peter. It's the truth. If you even consider me a son, you would have at least tried to speak with me in the past 3 months, knowing what struggles I've been through. But no, you wouldn't even do that. Afraid of my voice, or did your dominant wife command you to never speak to me? In the past 3 months, the only squeak I've heard from you are your angry, irrational emails you send my mother. And yes, she shows them to me as they concern me, and I...
Toolbox says, "Hey Steve, is there any game you're playing at the moment?" Yeah, I'm playing Oblivion, and I upped the level. Like I'm not doing the novice thing. Yeah, I discovered a portal, a door, like in the water, and it opened up a whole different map. Yeah, Oblivion, it's amazing. I love it.
And an adult.
So I'm playing Oblivion, Warzone, and I play Skate 1, and I just free skate. And it's just like, that's more meditative for me, but yeah. So it's a combination of those circulating, three of those games.
This reeks of Sumaya's manipulation, to be sure, but that is just a suspicion. I would not be surprised, though, because from my experience with you and her, she has to but say the word, and you turn into her raging dog. Honestly, I do not know what you even see in that woman. You cow down to her every whim. Is she even a good lay? Ha! From the way she supposedly walks around the house naked all day, I'd say. She gives you quite a tease, though her naked body wouldn't be much to look at.
See that right there? If I said that, no, rest in peace, Pops, but if I even entered that, started talking like that to my dad, ooh, that's a severe beatdown. There's no tolerance for that, at least in our household, yeah. None of that talk, yeah.
Oh, and every summer she flies off to Morocco and spends all your hard-earned money, leaving you in a cold, empty bed. Not the kind of wife I'd want, let alone worship with unrelenting...
Shout out to my boy, Everything Farley, Stevie. I'm loving the stream right now. I'm taking care of my dog. She is battling cancer. Oh, good for you, man. So I'm staying home. Shout out to Farley. Yeah, take care. We love you, Farley. Take care of that dog. You're doing the right thing. Shout out to Farley.
vigor. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. Think about what I've said, sweet father. It will do you good. I wish you good health, which is something you probably lack, having to deal with that woman all day. And a very happy...
No, I'm sorry. Like, my prayers and thoughts out to the dog. Yeah.
Elliot was able to get a job through his counselor working at an office building connected to a Los Angeles airport. Upon seeing that it was a custodial job, he instantly felt it was beneath him and wanted to quit. After only one day, he called and informed his boss that he would be quitting immediately. He was forced to call his mother and inform her, crying all the way, begging for yet another chance. He promised to register for more classes and study hard, as well as go back to working on his writing. Chin, once again, buckled and agreed. For his 19th birthday, he wanted a new laptop. This new computer was very capable of running games, tempting Elliot to see how World of Warcraft might run on it. His addiction was back. Right upon logging back on, he was contacted by James for the first time in a long time. James introduced him online to two of his other friends, Mark and Steve. He spent the rest of the summer playing with them, all while reading his new favorite book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. Then it came time for school once again. He was only able to get into one class and coasted on a promise to his mother that he would take at least 3 the next semester. Both grandmas were...
Yeah, I agree with Evil Petting Zoo too. Dude focused on nothing but negativity. Yeah, I agree.
sending him money to help out, money which Elliot saved. He wanted to start saving up in case life became, in his own words, too drastic. All ready to go out and try to attract a woman, Elliot bought some new clothes.
I played the original Skate game. I guess you would call it just... It's not even Skate, it's just called Skate.
He also got some height-boosting shoes from tallmenshoes.com, again worrying about his height when it came to finding a girl. One night after class...
No, this is an interesting comment. TSUA says, I was lucky enough to have girlfriends in high school and college before I turned ugly. So even though I'm technically an incel now, I'm not desperate, so I'm totally at peace with it. I mean, thanks for your honesty, man.
Panda Express to get some food. While eating, he saw a teenage boy walk in with his girlfriend. He couldn't believe that this younger man had...
Yeah, but I think that you know, your life's not done. There's still, you still have a lot to look forward to. I mean, yeah. I mean, but just imagine Elliot. He didn't have a chance to experience any of this.
Had such a girl. When the couple started kissing while waiting in line, he lost his mind. The couple left the restaurant once they got their food and started walking away. Elliot left the store, chased after them, and dumped his drink all over both of their heads.
When did this happen?
Several
years ago. I think over a decade ago.
Before they came to their senses and saw him. Ever since that moment, he started to worry that he had broken the law.
Yeah, 2011,
he took to Yahoo Answers,
2012.
furiously trying to get answers to his question by posting variations of the same post multiple times under titles like, Will I get into trouble for dumping a drink on someone's head? Could I get in trouble for dumping a drink on someone's head? And could I get in trouble for dumping
2014,
a drink on
this is
someone
when it
on the
happened.
street? In this process, he took quite a liking to Yahoo Answers, posting all sorts of questions and even answering some himself. A lot of the questions he asked would reveal personal insecurities he had held on to for quite some time, one of these being his half-Asian heritage, making posts such as,
Guys who are half white, half Asian? Are girls attracted to guys who are half white, half Asian? Would you date one? Why or why not?
I could answer that. Brandon Lee. Was he attractive? Come on now. He was a hunk.
He also revealed that his parents had suggested he try joining the Air Force. However, he had one problem with this potential arrangement, asking,
My man Farside says, seems narcissistic with all the selfies and videos. Yeah, I agree.
Sexual opportunities in the Air Force?
Shout out to the Farside, by the way. All right, they really made a positive influence in my life. When I saw Farside, I think it was my junior year at a small club in Escondido. That changed my life. Shout out to Slim Kid Trey. Look, I reached out to Slim Kid Trey. I need to get one member on my podcast. That's my dream. So if you can, holler at him, be like, hey, Stevie's a fan. He would love for one of you guys to get on his podcast. Yeah, I need a Farside member.
I'm 19 years old and a virgin. I've never touched a girl in my life, yet I think of sex every second of every day. My parents are pressuring me to join
Oh, we're
the
almost
Air
at
Force.
10
I
o'clock.
would join, but my concern is that I won't have any opportunities to finally have sex.
I think we
hear
might
many people say that
end this
there's
soon. I mean, because I didn't
absolutely
realize
no
how long we were
chances to
going.
have sex in any branch of the military. The thought of living another 4 years, and if I do join, 4
Yeah,
tough
Duke's getting
years
restless.
without sex, well, it
No, I didn't grow up in Escondido, but that's where I saw the Far Side. There was a club called Distillery, so we would drive to Escondido. That's where I saw the Far Side.
tortures me to.
This was like
even think about
1992
it.
or something.
So,
Yeah.
I asked this to
92,
men who have
93.
been in the Air Force.
92.
Were there any sexual opportunities during your time in the Air Force? Honest, serious answers, please.
When it came towards his answers to other people, he answered a lot of mundane questions, such as, what is your eye color, or where can I buy a chair like this? But, true to his character, he took the opportunity to rant on quite a good number of them. When a girl...
I mean, I agree. Fat Lip does rule. I've actually, in this area, I've seen Fat Lip back in the day quite a few times. He would frequent my Starbucks. And so, yeah, Fat Lip I'd see him walking around here. And I reached out to him several times. I was close to getting him on the podcast. I'll reach out again, but you guys could help me. I mean, if you could reach out on your own and say, hey, trying to get you on the STEEBEE'S show.
Girl asked, bullied by boys so much, I can't even think of them anymore. Elliot responded with,
You're mixing with the wrong type of guys.
when asked, is it okay
You
to...
know, I've never seen Doom live. I would have loved to seen KMD, his OG group, live. That's like, I still bump, KMD is his original group before he became MF Doom. Look into that. Bump KMD.
to live alone, he responded with,
It is hell. And it's very sad because some people have no choice but to be alone.
Hell
when
yeah.
someone asked,
Shout out to
do
Joel.
women desire men sexually, and do they get sexual pleasure from men and the essence of men? Elliot responded with,
No, they don't. I'm a man. Well, legally I am because I'm 19. And women have never even talked to me.
ignoring that the sole reason for much of his rage was that women were having sex with a lot of men, just not him. In another bit of irony, when someone inquired
Are you
about
guys
getting custody
liking the
of their
mic
younger
tonight?
brother,
I mean, this is a
Elliot
new
responded
mic.
with an
Hopefully
answer
the
of,
sound quality is a little
You're
bit better.
20. That's way too young to have custody of a child. 20-year-olds can't even take care of themselves yet. Most 20-year-olds still live with their parents.
Some of his answers to questions were completely fueled by his usual anger, such as when asked, is 5 foot 8.5 inches short for 16? Elliot took this one very personally, firing back with,
Are you an idiot? That is very, very tall. I am 19 and the same height as you. I fucking hate it when people younger than me are taller.
when someone else mentioned that they didn't have much of a nostalgic feeling about their college dating years, he responded with,
If you've hung out with jocks, then you're just as evil as them. Horrible jerk.
Then, when a girl asked, what is love and why do I like/love him so much, he exploded with,
Stupid little girl. So what if he doesn't like you? There are tons of other guys out there.
In particular, Elliot seemed unable to avoid answering questions about Justin Bieber. He had a hatred for the boy, a hatred that stemmed from jealousy.
I mean, how can you not be jealous of Justin Bieber? I think we'll end it at the Justin Bieber for now. We're almost at 2.5. I didn't want to. So let me write this down. We're at 1:28:01. Yeah, cause Duke's getting a little restless. And I have to start preparing dinner. We'll continue next week with this Elliot Rodger documentary, this dire trip, and so I appreciate y'all for being here. I'm slowly making improvements on the live stream. Like I said, I just recently bought this mic, I really appreciate your guys' time. I think I'm gonna end it now because this is good. I don't know if I can make 3.5 hours, but thanks for joining me. I think I'm gonna stop the stream and we'll continue. I wrote down the time right here. Love y'all. Don't forget to leave a comment, share the stream, and I'll see y'all next Thursday, and we'll continue this. I think next week will be part 2, Elliot Rodger, and then we'll move on to someone else. The next stream is I stream every Thursday, y'all. So every Thursday around this time, around 7, 8 p.m. somewhere in there, I'll stream. But thanks for being here. Share, like, love y'all. See you later, Stroke Doctor. Yeah. I'll try to go earlier next week, guys. I'm still trying to get a feel for this whole streaming thing. I think I'm so glad that I have this OBS thing now. Shout out to the Golden Needle. I'll reach out to Ryan. Love y'all. I think I'm gonna stop it. We're at an hour and 28 minutes. I wrote it down. Part 2 next week around this time. Elliot Rodger Part 2. Thanks for tuning in. Love y'all.